I'm live just a little bit early, and yes, the Duct Tape Drags is coming back. It's going to be at Firebird Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona, October 16th and 17th, 2026, and it's once again going to be me and Derek from Vice Grip Garage bringing you stuff like the Battle of the Beaters for dirt cheap cars, the least car-showy car show ever, the Vice Grip Garage Burnout pit, and the famous parties that we're known for. Now, I know that I am like 2 weeks later than I was last year with this announcement, and so I owe you a lot of information. There has been, I don't know, complaints right after the event last year about some stuff that we could improve on. I feel we've done that. And what I'm going to do here is talk through the ways that we're going to change up the program in hopes and plans and expectations of making a better experience for everybody who participates. But this whole live feed is not just about the Duct Tape Drags. This is going to be a full Q&A with me for as long as it remains entertaining. The last time I did this, it lasted for 2.5 hours as people fed me questions about tech and project cars and upcoming videos and what I'm doing in my own life. Thank you very much. I already got a $10 tip here on YouTube. I appreciate that a lot. Now, interestingly, I'm doing something I've never done before. I am live on both Instagram, my phone's up there, and also on YouTube. My computer is down there. If either one of these feeds drops for any reason, jump over to the other platform and you'll still get me. Let's see. What I'm going to do is actually wait until 3:15 to start discussing the blow-by-blow of the Duct Tape Drags. And the reason for that is I'm going to try and get some people sort of loaded into the live feed. We've only got 520 watching right now. I know that Thursday at 3 o'clock is a terrible time for an event announcement. It's a terrible time for a live feed. So the audience numbers are not going to be big here, but I will save this video and it'll play later. So if your friends miss this, and I hope you do share this with them, you can share the recorded video later on. And so let's get into a few things before we get into Duct Tape Drags. So I've had a number of situations lately with my YouTube videos and with my social posts where, man, people got heated. And this should be no surprise because the internet's an angry place these days. But for some reason, I touched on a couple automotive subjects that people seem to be really, really passionate about. And so I want to get your take on this stuff. I am going to give you my opinion on these things after we talk Duct Tape Drags. So here goes. The first one is the biggie. The engine versus body car maker mismatch. In other words, putting a Chevy engine in a Ford, which is what I'm doing with my Model A, or putting an LS in a Mopar, or putting a Pontiac in a Chevy that nobody really does anymore. People were really, really angry that I'm putting a Chevy in my Model A. And I can understand people saying that's boring, it's been done before, and all those other reasons, but to get just heated is wild to me. So what we're going to do is hold your breath right now. And when we come back from Duct Tape Drags information, I'm going to give you my opinion on that stuff and also tell you why that's my opinion. Now, here's the other thing I stumbled into. For some reason, people, and this is going to be older muscle car guys who deal with carburetors and distributors, they are really upset about the argument about ported versus manifold vacuum for your vacuum advance in your old school engine. I was about to say V8, but really it would be any engine that has a distributor and a vacuum advance and a carburetor. And so I'm going to give you my thoughts on that as well. Oh, and here's another one. And this one dates back to when I got that Super Bee that I have, that yellow Super Bee that I dug out of a barn after 36 years. And I've been calling it a barn find. And there's all sorts of people who want to argue what is or isn't a barn find. And so I'm going to get your take on that and give you my opinion as soon as we're done with information about the Duct Tape Drags. And I said I was going till 3:15 to talk Duct Tape Drags, but it is now 3:02, and I might not have enough material to vamp with between now and then. And so I'm going to be looking at your questions right now. I'm not going to answer event questions at this moment, but if you've got other stuff, I will address it. Here is a big one. People are asking, who won my truck? If you're out of the loop on this, I just ran a sweepstakes for people to get chances to win my 1969 Chevy C20 pickup. It's the reddish orange one you've seen in 3 or 5 videos on my channel. And I am giving that thing away as well as $5,000. And you know what? It's weird. People get angry about that too. But the drawing for that truck, the entries ended on Sunday. The drawing is not going to happen till probably late next week. The reason for that is we have to allow time for the mail-in entries to arrive. You know, people doing these sweepstakes, you really should ask if they are doing them legally. I have all of the permits and registrations and all that stuff. And what it means is that you have to offer free entries, which is cool. Somebody could spend nothing and actually win $5,000 in my truck, but you do have to wait for them to show up. And so that's what the delay is all about. So there's that. Oh, here's something that we have to talk about. If you're just tuning in, I'll remind you that this is going to be a Q&A long-term live feed where I will answer your questions. At 3:15, I am going to be discussing the Duct Tape Drags that is coming back to Firebird Motorsports Park October 16th and 17th, and I'm going to give you all the details about what we've changed to that program. But I'm waiting for 3:15 Pacific time to do that. It's 3:04 right now. And so we're going to burn a little time before that happens. I'm just waiting for you to please share the live feed either on YouTube or on Instagram to your friends so that we can build up audience, because I know Thursday at 3 is not a great time for a live feed. We have 965 people on YouTube and 145 people on Instagram. So that could get a lot stronger. And as a reminder, I will have this video playing back so you can watch it later. But here's the thing that I just thought of that I really got to talk about. What a blow yesterday. This was like a major disturbance in the car world force. First of all, L&L Classic Auto in Wendell, Idaho, which is my favorite classic car junkyard. It's huge. They say they have 8,000 cars there. You've seen it on Roadkill. You've seen it in my own videos. And there was well, the last time I checked, it was an 8,600 acre fire that went through there. Somebody just gave me $50. Phil, thank you very much. How generous can you possibly get? Phil Stafford, who just gave me $50, is the guy who I got my 69 C20 from, and he's been supportive of giving that thing away. Anyway, so L&L Classic was in the middle of this fire. I did text with my guy Jesse there. He said all of the people got out. I'm unaware of any injuries that may have happened in the rest of the local area, but as far as the yard, all those people are safe. A lot of the cars and buildings did get wiped out. Now, when Jesse talked to me, of course, I can understand what he was going through. He just said to me, the yard is gone. I did see subsequently his videos that shows there are some cars that survived there. I don't know what they are, what will become of them. However, just overall, a tragic loss of those cars. More importantly, all the people who are going to have to deal with the emotional pain of that and the blow to their finances and their jobs and their property and their land and all the people in the area, of course. It's just awful. Similarly, another big shake in the car guy force was that horrible tornado that came through Effingham, and it hurt a lot of people in the town and destroyed their businesses. Not to diminish the whole community, but because this is a car-oriented channel, my focus will be on the morning of the Mid-America Motor Works building. They lost everything there. That has been a great facility. Mike and Lori Yeager have been our hosts there back when I did Hot Rod Power Tour at this place. If you're not aware of the business, they make a lot of Corvette and Volkswagen reproduction parts. And they also had a massive museum with some very significant cars and lots of significant memorabilia. And if you look at the videos, the whole place is leveled. They lost 52 years of their business right there. And so, not to start with a downer, but I do want to just have everybody thinking about those communities that were affected. Of course, we focus on the car stuff, but other people were hurt as well. So there's that. Let's talk about some more fun things. It's 3:07. At 3:15, I'm going to be discussing the Duct Tape Drags. It is coming back. It's going to be in Phoenix this year, October 16th and 17th. I'm not going to answer event questions right now for the next 7 minutes-ish. We're going to be talking about other stuff. This is a fantastic question. Thank you very much for the $10 tip. I appreciate you. Changing the subject, why are people so interested in your flip-flops? You know, that predates YouTube, because I was wearing sandals, like the kind of sandals that like strap to your foot. I forget what they're called. When I was at four-wheel and off-road, I wore those because I was running off-road, and then I wore sandals as influenced by you know, growing up in California, and Gray Baskerville, the Stafford Hot Rod magazine forever, he wore slaps everywhere. So I got away with wearing them at the office and it just became a thing. And I never knew that so many men were so obsessed with other men's feet. It's wild. But I get comments almost every day of people angry about my footwear. Who said, is that my tunnel ram that I loaned you next to you? Who loaned me a tunnel ram? These are all my tunnel rams. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe he's trying to get it back. Because your feet are gross and no one wants to see another man's eagle toes. Tech tip, you don't have to look at them. Your obsession is not my problem. This guy just got off work in time to watch. Thanks very much. Low buck budget guy. In a few minutes, we'll be talking duct tape drags. How many manifolds do I have? I have no idea. I have a lot. And this is just like the stuff that's here. I've got storage units full of them. I'm stupid. This is a big problem for me right now. I guess I can address that. I've been selling cars. I had hit a peak of 43 or 44 cars. I don't remember which. And since December, I've sold 11, acquired a few more, gone back and forth a little. Right now, I'm at 33. But as a general life goal, I'm trying to reduce the number of keepers. But I do want to buy cars, drive them, experience them for video, do things I've never done before, and then pass them on and get more. And I know some people don't like the buy and drive and sell thing. They get kind of attached to the cars, but I'm going to have a core that I keep that I'm going to work on. And that's the other important part of it that I want to focus on and actually get done. As a matter of fact, I'll mention this. The YouTube channel is really tough to feed as one guy. You know, I don't have a background staff. I don't have a social media manager. I don't have any manager. I'm me, and that's it. And I'm doing the YouTube videos every single week while also trying to manage all these cars. And I keep getting behind so that I can't finish any big project like my Super Bee or my van. And I mention those because those are my two priorities coming up. I have started 4 projects that are my top for getting done. The Barn Find Super Bee, the Orange Possum Special van. I got to get that Jeepster done that's at Payway's place, and also that 72 F100 that I have. Those are the ones that are, oh, and I just started another one, Gumby the Model A. You'll be seeing that next week. And so those are the priorities. I know I have to get those done before I start anything new, which is not to say that I'm not going to buy more cars, road trip them, but I guess the moral of this blabbering story is that I'm going to focus more on getting those projects done for the channel, because I know that that's kind of an issue. It is 3:11. Question about the Hemi Belvedere. Zeke, yes. This is how bad my life is. I do have a 69 Hemi Belvedere, and it's not a factory Hemi car. It's kind of junk. Finnegan and Dulcich and I put it together at Performance Auto up in Wyoming from a Belvedere. It's a total beater. There's an episode of Roadkill Garage. Actually, I need to ask you about this. It's one of the last episodes of Roadkill Garage, one of the last 6. It is not streaming anywhere that I can find it. I hear from people that they may have aired those shows on cable, but I don't know. So I don't know if you guys have seen what Dulcich and I did on Roadkill Garage to finish up that car. If you haven't seen it, I really legit do not know. So let me know. But I do still have that car. And I was just looking at photos of it yesterday to remind myself what kind of condition it was in and what we had done to it and whether it runs and drives. And I couldn't remember if it had an exhaust system on it. So I had to look at my old photos. So yeah, I still have that thing. I just bought... Oh, Goatworks. I just bought a brownish red 55 Thunderbird gasser in NorCal. Should I put a big block Chevy in it or a big block Ford? Okay, this is actually hilarious, dude. What is your name? I don't know if my buddy Sam told you this. This guy Goatworks bought a 55 Thunderbird gasser roller in NorCal. And I think this will be the last story I tell before we get into Duct Tape Drags information. So I'm up at my buddy Sam Strub's place, and we're working on Gumby, the Model A chassis, and he's trying to sell his Thunderbird. So he gets a call, and he's on speaker talking to this guy, and I walk into the room, and I can hear he's trying to sell the car, whatever. And the guy starts describing, yeah, I want to buy this thing and take it on Drag Week. And Sam starts messing with him. Hopefully Sam's already told you this. He's like, Drag Week? What's that all about? And he starts telling him about it, and he goes, yeah. And Sam goes, I think, is that guy Freiburger involved with that somehow? And I'm standing right there. So that was kind of funny. I hope he fessed up to that. Let me know. Put it in the comments. And I hope to see that car out at Drag Week. It would be fun. As to your question, should I put a big block Chevy in it or a Ford? That thing would be so good with the now allowable in the gas class Boss 429. Yeah, think about it. Actually, it would be way cooler with a sock motor. That's what you need to do. I'm spending your money right now. Okay, it's 3:13. This is probably close enough to my advertised 3:15 time, especially as I vamp here a little bit, where I'm going to tell you all about the Duct Tape Drags, which is coming to Firebird Motorsports Park, which is in Chandler, Arizona, which is immediately south of Phoenix. It is super, super convenient. We've moved the track there. Of course, I will be talking all about that. And it is still myself and Derek from Vice Grip Garage. Now, I know that I'm announcing 2 weeks later than I did last year. I apologize to everybody. It's 100% on me. And it is all about me being overwhelmed with a lot of business between all the fingers I've gotten, all the different fires, and just being a procrastinator. I have been working on this thing since, well, talked about it at the PRI show, or before the PRI show that I didn't attend in December. I would say we've actively been working on it since like February. I told you that I have no team, no help, no employees. I do have one person, maybe I won't name names, who is an event manager for me, who helps out with all this stuff. And the worst problem in the world is that she does stuff and gets things going, and I'm overwhelmed and ignore her texts for 3 weeks. And so that's a big part of the reason why I'm late and why everything's not completely buttoned down. Like, I don't have all the text ready for the website. So I know you're going to be wanting to go to the website to look at the schedule and the rules and the activities and all of that other kind of stuff. All I can do is tell you I'm going to write that stuff and get it up, and it'll probably be late next week, in all truth. A lot of what you need to know you can glean from right here. Tickets are on sale right now, unless technology failed. You can go to thefote.com and you can search Duct Tape Drags 2026, and you will find that participant tickets and spectator tickets are already on sale. Now, the general program format of the show is not really changing. It is Vice Grip Garage Burnout Pit. It is the Battle of the Beaters. It is open, test, and tune for any car or truck that passes tech. We don't allow motorcycles and snowmobiles and side-by-sides and such. And it is the least car-showy show ever, and we are still having a party. So if you have either followed Duct Tape Drags or you've been there, all of that is going to be very familiar to you. There's not radical rule changes. What there are is changes in the way we are going to operate things, because we heard you about problems you didn't like about the last 2 years as we sort of had growing pains and, outgrew ourselves. And so I'm going to walk you through what all of that stuff is. One of the notes, I do have notes because it's a lot of stuff here. One of the notes is people have asked if Derek is going to be there with me. And yes, Derek is part of this whole deal. But of course, the number one question everybody has is, why are you no longer in Tucson? Well, here's the deal. There is no beef at all in that program. We have had a great time at that track the whole time that we have been there. As the event has grown, as I just mentioned, we have heard you and heard your complaints. And I will take the complete ownership with it. I was about to say we, but I made the decision that I think I am going to be able to overcome some of those problems better at Firebird. And so you can not like it. This is the internet. I'm sure many of you won't. You can attack me for it. It was simply a decision to try and make the event run smoother, which is not a criticism of Tucson at all. It has a lot to do with space and driveways and stuff. So I want to make that clear. As a matter of fact, here is kind of an issue, which is Farm Truck and Asian have an event at Tucson Dragway that is the weekend before the Duct Tape Drags. And so if you are a Tucson guy and you want to go to a Tucson event, go support those guys. Farm Truck and Asian, I mean, I haven't talked to them about this, but they have always been very cool and supportive to me. I do not hold anything against them for having that event there, and I support you attending it. So I am not trying to detract anybody from Tucson Dragway or from that Farm Truck and Asian event. So let's just be clear with all of that. And we will move on as I talk about what we're going to be changing to try and make this better. Oh, okay. This was not a decision point, but this is sort of a repercussion of going to Chandler to Firebird rather than to Tucson. If I look at the heat map of where my spectators are coming from, they are all over the country. And this new track is much closer to Sky Harbor. And Sky Harbor is a hub, and it's easier and cheaper to get there. You will almost certainly have to take connecting flights and spend more money to get to Tucson. Like I said, this is not a major decision point. I'm just saying to you, if you're considering coming from out of town, it's now at the point where you could probably fly in, Uber to your hotel, get a ride to the event, Uber back, and be done. You don't have to rent a car, and you'll have cheaper flights. Also, it's a larger urban area. There's going to be more local to do. If you're into casinos, the casino is right there. So keep that in mind if you want to make that part of your Duct Tape Drags vacation. There's also more hotels and restaurants and such nearby. So that's just sort of a side effect of having made this change. Once again, Farm Truck and Asian Farmapalooza is the name of that event, and it is 1 week ahead of ours. And once again, Duct Tape Drags is October 16th and 17th. All right. I'm not looking at questions just yet, by the way. I'm going through my list of what I'm going to present to you, and then I will address stuff. So I'm going to go through. I have a list of complaints and solutions. Here's a complaint. The place was too crowded and racers could not park their trailers in the pits. Now, that's something that just happened last year. I apologize for that inconvenience where racers would go put their trailer in their car in a pit and then be asked to move the trailer out. We have more space at Firebird. We know that that was an issue last year. We've made it a priority to solve it. I am working with a new team at Firebird, but we will have all communication to help that be better. So that is one thing. Next, complaint. It was hard to get inside the track because of the line. 2 years ago, that was an issue at Tucson. I don't think that was an issue last year. Some of you may disagree, but that is something that we addressed. However, because it was such a rage 2 years ago, I want to point out that at Firebird, there are 2 entrances, one for racer participants and one for spectators, and that is going to help ease that load. I think that that will help quite a bit. Also, we will continue to let racers in on late Thursday. Look for that schedule coming up on ducttapedrags.com. You may have been here when I mentioned earlier that I have not updated ducttapedrags.com. I'm taking complete ownership. That is my fail. I just haven't sat down. It's a lot to write. So the schedule will be coming up that will give those details. Okay, here comes a real biggie from last year. This was a huge one. Racers did not get as many passes as they used to in prior years. A lot of people complained about this. Some of it I think was overblown, but I also know that a lot of it was true. And the fact that we're addressing this stuff should tell me that we heard you and we know. And in most cases, we agree. You're right. And that's why we're working to make it better. So here's how we're going to improve that problem at Firebird of people who sign up, paid, registered, not getting enough passes. First, this is now a full 2-day event. We are going to open the drag strip earlier on Friday than we did before. I'm not sure how early just yet, but it's not going to be at like 4 or 5 o'clock. We're going to try and get it hot earlier than that. Look for the schedule coming up. So that should give you more opportunities to make passes. We're definitely going to get that done. The other thing is we are not having the Uncle Dan's Try 5 shootout. Again, I got to say, no hate towards those guys. Those are just racers like the rest of us having a good time with their cars like the rest of us. It is not their fault if there was a lane control issue that made it so that you ended up despising them. That is not their issue. I am not super tight with Uncle Dan, but we do text once in a while, talk about selling cars, share stuff that's for sale. I've got a friendly rapport with the guy. I don't want anything about that to change. I would like to see him out at this event, but we are not having that event within an event that you guys complained about. And we do know that it's a priority for you to get more passes. And this kind of goes hand in hand with that. Some racers thought the staging lanes were not controlled well enough. And that is an element of what I just talked about. I will say, I have no reason to believe that the Tucson crew can't handle it. I have no reason to believe that the Firebird crew can't handle it, and they will be there helping us. However, in order to give the greatest possibility of the lowest amount of complaints on this, I am bringing in my own crew of people who I've worked with in the past, who I trust to do lane control, simply so that I can be completely responsible for that. And if you hate it, then the attack is me and not the track. We will listen to you, and we will do our best to make that happen. That does not mean every racer is going to be happy with the decisions of the lane control people. It absolutely doesn't. It does mean that I've got people that I've worked with before at major events who absolutely know how to do this and who speak our language and who are in constant communication with this person who is my event manager. And so that's another step that we're taking towards that. Let's see. Next. Thank you very much for hanging in here. We got 150 on Instagram and 1,790 on YouTube. And I'll remind you once again, if one of these feeds go down, just jump to the other one. And also these videos will be available for replay, especially on YouTube after I go dark. I'm not sure if that will happen on Instagram or not. The next complaint that we heard is that spectators felt that they did not get a fair chance to meet myself, Derek, or the other people who were there, who I so hesitate to call celebrities. I don't like using that name for myself. I am deeply grateful that people follow me and want to come meet me, and I want to give them that opportunity. And so we have made changes to ensure that that happens. And while I'm discussing this, before I give you these solutions, I'll tell you, Derek and I will be there. I have not yet 100% locked down all of the other people who you might want to meet. I'm not even going to name them because I don't want you to feel like they decided not to show up, but I am going to work on having more people there to hang out with. So Derek and I will be on site at the track all day Friday. In all the past years, all the way back to Zip Tie Drags in the dark ages, what is it, like 9 years ago? We have shown up late on Friday afternoon or evening. In this case, we are going to be on site at the track all day long, and we will be available to you. We will be doing less activities, less, I don't know, announcery stuff and more hanging out with you. We will have the Burnout box going and stuff. We'll be announcing, but we'll have more time for you. We will have an autograph session on Friday and on Saturday. I hate it when people stand in line to come meet us and they get cut off and can't do it after they've been standing in the sweaty heat for so long. I really, really hate that at all the events that I go to. And so I'm going to do everything I can to prevent that from happening. Also, we will be, or I should say I'm not sure Derek's doing this. I will definitely be at the parties both evenings. What we used to call the fire pit, which I'll explain to you. That's going to be a great loss moving from Tucson, but we will have a party area that I'll tell you about. In fact, let me make a note so I don't skip that later. Got it. And last year we did a live video feed, and I am super appreciative to Cletus and all of his guys for wanting to put us on Freedom Plus and spread Duct Tape Drags to the whole world and show your low buck stuff to a worldwide audience. It was super cool that they wanted to do that. To be completely honest with you, it was not a success. We didn't have as many viewers as we expected. And there was a number of reasons for that. I don't need to get into the weeds about that with other events going on, crowded schedules, and us being a smaller fish, just all of that stuff. We may do it again in the future. And if we do, I will bring in another host because the live feed was a distraction for me and Derek. All day, I felt like I was on the schedule of the live feed, and I didn't like it. It made me tear away from people who wanted to be talking to me or whatever. Now, I'm not saying I'm always going to be able to stay and talk to you for however long you want. I'm still going to be on a schedule. We're still running an event. We're still doing things, but that element will be gone. Okay, now here comes the other real biggie. Man, I hope people are actually listening. I guess they are. This is pretty cool. Thank you for listening through all these weeds. Remember, we will get into a regular Q&A where I'll be answering questions about everything, not just the event, when we get out of this. All right, the Battle of the Beaters. You know what this is. Let me talk philosophy on it for just a moment before I tell you how we're going to change it up. Battle of the Beaters is supposed to just be fun. The rules have always said, if you take this seriously, you think this is a bloodthirsty drag race, don't be here. It is fun, not fair. That is the catchphrase here. It is fun, not fair. It is us taking a group of low buck beaters, arbitrarily judging them to see if we think they're worth $5,000 or less, and then letting them race. Now, on one hand, what's always been cool about it is that the audience sort of gets into it and there's no real rules and it gets real sloppy and everybody has a great time anyway. Well, it jumped a shark last year for a couple of reasons. There were too many people with outrageous cars who got in line. There were too many instances of us making a blanket rule that ended up letting those cars in. We did things like, oh, we're behind schedule. Hey, audience, should we just let in the next 20 cars no matter what? And we did that, and we got burned by the cars that got in. We did things like any car with a roof rack gets in. Guy rolls up with an 8-second car with a roof rack, you let him in. So it's that balance of, I don't want this thing to be bloodthirsty. I'm not turning it into a claimer class. It's not that hardcore. This is about people who enjoy their cheap car and want to come race it and are not pros and are not desperate to win. And so, of course, there's cars that are worth more than $5,000 that race with us, but they're the cars the audience wants to see racing, and that's the key. And the audience doesn't want to see the cars that are just stupidly not even with the program. So I have to strike this balance of it's fun, it's tongue-in-cheek, it's 24 Hours of Lemons where they claim $800 cars, which is beyond bogus. I have to balance between that and having a hardcore racing sanctioning body where it's only for low buck cars. So you can feel my pain in this. So I think the key to the whole thing is weed out the truly, truly bogus cars that just shouldn't be there, and figure out how to make the judging happen much more quickly so everybody's not sitting in the grandstands rotting forever and sitting in line overheating. So here we go. This is how this is going to get fixed. When you go to register, which you can do right now at thefote.com, for the first time ever, you will have to pick whether you are buying a full participant entry just for Grudge Racing and Test and Tune, or whether you're in Battle of the Beaters. Grudge Racing and Test and Tune is open for any car truck that will pass tech. We had stuff like semi trucks and buses running in the past that I'm not sure Firebird is going to allow. So, reasonable passenger car, light duty trucks and cars can come race, open, Test and Tune, and Grudge. Then, if you sign up for Battle of the Beaters, what you're saying is you believe that you've got a car that is ostensibly worth less than $5,000, or at least it's enough of a beater that you want to get in there and rub elbows and get judged and have fun and race with the other guys, knowing that it's probably not going to be fair. And you might get in or you might get out and you might not agree with it, but you're going to have a great time anyway. So what we're going to do is those two categories, you can register for Test and Tune or you can rest for Battle of the Beaters. You have to submit, or you don't have to. We're going to ask you to submit a photo of your car as we go. That way, as we go into the event, we'll have photos of a number of the cars and we will be able to weed some out and give you a call and let you know that you're not in before we even get there. That gets rid of the 8-second cars that, are all shiny and pretty and perfect that are running in the class. So that's going to be one thing. Next, I'll have a Duct Tape Drags representative actually scanning the lanes. And in truth, that might be me. I might just run in a golf cart and talk to some of you guys and be like, come on, man, no. It's like, dude, you have like a brand new Cummins in that thing. Get lost, that type of thing, to weed out the cars that are in line before they ever get in front of the audience. Next, we're not going to make those random rules like, should we let in the next 20 cars? I'll handle it a different way. If we are running out of time, I'll just go, guys, I'm going to do some quick judgment calls, and I will run down the line and I will just go in, out, in, out, in, out. I will be very sensitive to the fact that we don't want this to last too long. And if it stops being fun, it stops being fun. The next thing is, we're going to make 2 lines of cars in front of the grandstands for judging. In the past, we have one car lining up, and then we judge the guy, and then his battery's dead, and he sits there, and we have to talk him out of doing a burnout, and it's, a big thing to get to the next guy. So we end up walking to the next car, and then the whole line starts creeping backwards and backwards to the point where it's not even in front of the grandstands anymore. So we will have 2 lines, and that way I can go one car, next car, one car, next car, and it can stay in position, and we'll get it done quicker. And then with all of that, hopefully it is at the point where most of the judging is in fact just telling the audience what your car is and what makes it cool and funny and great, so that we can get to racing and have a good time. I welcome your feedback. So That's what's going on with that I think is the biggest complaint that we had of all. Next, there is too much downtime between rounds of beaters racing. Absolutely a problem for actual years, not just for last year. And part of that is going to be solved with communication with the racers. Part of it's going to be solved with our communication with the racetrack. Part of it will be solved by our lane control people. And what was my other thing? Oh, downtime between rounds. What we're going to do is, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask you not to hold me to it because it might not work out this way day of race. But our intent is to let some test and tune grudge cars who want to keep racing actually make passes in between rounds of the Battle of the Beaters just to keep action going on track. Now, that might end up with big lines of people who end up getting turned away for the reason that we can't really estimate how long the gap in time is going to be because we have such trouble getting people to return to the staging lanes after they've won their round. Sometimes it's a 3-minute gap. Sometimes we're there for 10 minutes. And so I can't control how many cars are going to get to go down the track. So what I'm going to ask is if you're a test and tune guy who wants to race in the gaps in Battle of the Beaters, you get in line and be cash, dude. Don't be dying to make your last bloodthirsty pass. Hang out, have fun. And if we don't have time for you, go, oh, well, that was cool. So that's kind of what's going on with that. So that wasn't a promise. It was sort of a directional change to try and help keep things moving. One question that I've been getting a whole lot, you're at a new track. Are you going to have the bonfire? The answer to that is no, which is sad. I mean, Tucson is so great for its environment and for the bonfire and that little bar there and everything. I hate to walk away from that. I will tell you from a liability standpoint, it's terrified me for years waiting for somebody to fall into the bonfire. And so we're not having one. We are going to make a party area. I think it's going to be in that overhang that they have there. I don't know yet. I need to work with events and with the track and figure out where it's going to be. But Derek and I will create an environment there. It's not going to be just like, throw the doors open and stand on some concrete. We're going to attempt to have some decorations and stuff to make it feel like we're all together hanging out, having a good time and not just standing there. So maybe I'll pull that off and maybe I won't, but we will be there collectively hanging out and doing the whole gathering thing in the evenings after racing is done. I have one more comment and one more big thing to tell you about. And I will also remind you, if you're hanging into all this, 2,000 people on Facebook, 140 people on Instagram. I am going to get to general questions first about the event and later just about anything that you want. And I'll sit here for 2 hours if it takes to ask some of this stuff. Here's the one thing. NHRA safety tech is going to be more strict. Just know that. That's out of my control. That is the track's responsibility as an NHRA member track. And if you're bringing a Battle of the Beaters car, you should expect to have your ducks in a row on your NHRA safety tech. Here's the biggie. I told you that I did not want to have a claimer on this deal. So many people, when they saw the Battle of the Beaters is for cars worth less than $5,000, once again, they see that as, oh, this is a bloodthirsty competition. It's like a circle track claimer thing. You should institute a claimer rule. Let's be honest. No one's going to show up if there's a claimer rule because people are there with these cars that they built and love. They may have a beater that's worth less than $5,000, but they've got their passion into it. They don't want to sell it for some stupid race. They want to show up and have fun. And so I'm not using that as a litmus test of you can be here or you can't. This is an event where anybody can come have fun. It is not exclusionary. I don't care if you bring your Japanese car. I don't care if you bring your 4x4. I don't care if it's a mini truck or a Max Wedge Dodge. You're all welcome here. It's just that we all understand that this is laid back and fun, and we all enjoy watching these beater lower buck cars run, and we enjoy giving people an opportunity to run down the drag strip who've never done it before. That's what this is. But I thought it would be fun to actually do something on this whole $5,000 deal. And so here is the program. Remember, I told you that when you register, you're going to register for Battle of the Beaters. So those people who are in Battle of the Beaters, you can run open, test, and tune as soon as we open the track until we close the track on Friday. And it's going to be qualifying basically, but hold on, let me tell you exactly what I really mean. We're not going to call you by group. It's just going to be open. It's going to be anybody, and you're going to complain to me, that guy got 6 passes and I only got 2. And I'm going to say, kind of your fault, because the rule is you're on your own to make as many passes as you can on Friday. And that could be that you can't do it because you broke your car and didn't get it fixed in time. It could be because somebody oiled the track. It could be because the hot dog wrapper went through lights. Whatever the reason, it's the same sort of field for everybody. It's just open, test, and tune Friday. But what we're going to do is then take all of the people registered for Battle of the Beaters on Friday, put them in ET order, and we're going to start at the quickest car, and we're going to go down the list, and we are going to find the quickest car that will let me buy their car on the spot for $5,000. And then we will actually make that transaction before the judging on Saturday. And then Derek from Vice Grip Garage will race that car in the event. And if that car is 14s or slower, that means it can have a passenger. And the passenger, if we work out the legalese on it, don't consider this a promise, will ride with Derek in the race. So that's what's going on. And a lot of people are now going to cut and paste this and post it. And if I vary even a little bit from that on the day of the race, they're going to jump down my throat. This is my intent of how it's going to run. We may need to refine it once we find out how it actually goes, but I think it's going to be a riot. And here's what I like about it. This is not just, giving some guy $5,000. What this is encouragement for you to go pick up a car for about $1,000 and put a nitrous system on it and come out and run the thing and hope that you have got the quickest car that is willing to sell us it for $5,000 because you've got $1,200 in it. Now I'm going to buy it from you for $5,000. So you are going to make money showing up. My whole idea is hopefully this encourages people putting together cheaper cars. And once again, there's no limit on what it can be other than the fact that you've got to sell it to me for $5,000. Now, the way this could backfire is a guy could show up with some Hemi Cuda that runs in the 8s and enter the class, and he's willing to sell it to me for $5,000. Here's why that's not going to happen. We will have judged it in advance online. We'll probably call BS on it on Friday. You know what? I just thought of an operational thing here live that I'm going to say to you, which is, remember earlier I said we're going to be doing judgments in the line for the Battle of the Beaters race? That's going to happen Saturday. There's a possibility that you run this thing on Friday all day long, and then we throw you out on Saturday. That's a very real possibility. If you show up with a $30,000 car and you're entered in Battle of the Beaters and you race all day Friday, then you could show up on Saturday and not be able to race because we're going to throw you out. Understand that. I'm glad it came up. I've got it in my brain. I'll put it in the rules. Anyway, so we'll go and find the most legit car that will sell it to us for $5,000 and run with that whole program. I hope you dig it. Let me know in the comments as we go to open comment questioning about what you think about that. Let's see. Do I have anything else? I think I have run through what I've got for you. Whew. So let's talk about duct tape drags for another however long reasonable questions come in, and I'll address what I've got. Please let me know if you like what I've laid out for you here today. If you're into it, please let me know if you don't. I will make notes. I think you've seen that we have heard you and we are trying to react, and I will continue to do so. I will make the disclaimer, some of the things I've said here on this live feed may have to change based on the real world, but you will know that we are headed the right direction, and I will ask you for forgiveness if I'm not 100% perfect and didn't say all the right words that you will nitpick to death in this live feed. We're going to do our best to make this event what it's always been, and I've always said that it's the participants that make Duct Tape Drags what it is, because you guys understand that this is about being low buck and having fun and not complaining. I take it back. There's a lot of people last year who didn't understand that this is about low buck fun and not complaining, and they complained. But I heard it, and I think we've addressed it. I've done my best. There might be some variations, but let's get to questions. One person said, I like your changes. Sounds like a plan. Oh, someone said, what's up with Mike Cotton? I noticed like 2 hours ago a David Newbern post that I didn't realize Cotton had a surgery. I need to get with him on that. I feel horrible. I didn't know that. Unfortunately, I don't use social media like personally, and so I don't catch a lot of that stuff. It was actually when I was setting up, I think, a Facebook post that I was in, whatever. I saw his post. Let's see. Looking for questions. Oh, he says Cotton's doing well. He's home recovering according to his daughter. I probably won't call him today. I'll call him tomorrow. Oh, will there still be a bogus class? Yes. Thank you for asking that question. In Battle of the Beaters, there will still be power adder, naturally aspirated, and bogus. Bogus is going to be better bogus than it used to be because we will have weeded out the really, really bogus and we'll be down to the cars that have at least earned it. They've at least gone through the online review and the walking past them in the staging lanes review. And you know what? I make no promise that there won't be bogus cars that actually get into the wrong classes. They always have. They always will. I'm just trying to bring it back down to a fun, manageable level of bogusness rather than just overwhelming bogusness that takes the fun out of it. All right, I'm seeing some pretty good questions here, but they're not about the event. I'm going to write them down. So far, it seems like people are liking the changes. I do welcome your negativity. You would think that would be just overwhelming. It all sounds good, but I'm going to miss Tucson. I agree with that. Tucson has the vibe. Everyone's talking about Cotton, which I really appreciate all the love coming out for him. Where is Firebird? Firebird Motorsports Park. Don't get confused. There's two. There's a Firebird that is in Idaho. This is Firebird that is in Chandler, Arizona, immediately south of Tucson. Really handy. Will Dulcich be attending this year? There is a ribeye waiting if he does. I texted Dulcich earlier today and he called me right back and he said, well, I'd like to be there, but you know, Freiburger, the Dulcich schedule, you just don't know. So I don't promise that he'll be there, but I am working on him. We love the Dulcich. And by the way, everybody who's asking about Steve and whether he's okay or not, he is. He's great. He is just laying low off the whole social media and video and spotlight thing, which I respect and kind of envy in some case. This guy points out that the racetrack is on an Indian reservation. Be careful with the alcohol. That is a fact. You cannot bring your own alcohol through the spectator gates. Don't do it. You cannot serve alcohol to other people there. Let's see. I mean, obviously their bars will be open. Is there a road trip? I'm making no commitments to that, but yes, Derek and I are both talking about road trip possibilities. Look for that. There's a bunch of stuff about this that we're going to be announcing in the coming weeks as we head up to the event. And I guess here, hold me to this. I'll make my commitment to you that I will figure out my drive far earlier than I ever have before. I usually announce my drive from LA the week of the event. And so I will commit that it will be at least 2 weeks from the event. I'm serious. And I'll try and make it much sooner than that. Oh, firearms. Firearms are a no-go. Do not bring them, period. Non-negotiable. How about camping? Yes, we are having camping still. You can either car camp, which means a space for a reasonable car or light duty truck and a tent. And there will also be full-size RV camping. Once you buy your ticket, you can then add on your camping space. So yes, there is still camping. This guy's giving me shade for saying I'll call Cotton tomorrow. He's recovering from open heart surgery. I'm not calling him right now. He's in a different time zone. Let's see. Who do we contact to advertise local businesses and hang banners and such? I very much appreciate you for that. You can email me, heyfreiburger@gmail.com. Whenever I give that out, I apologize that I get literal hundreds of emails there every day. So sometimes I miss stuff entirely. Sometimes it takes me a while to get to it. But if you are a sponsor potential or somebody I'm wanting to buy a car from or something, I'll move you over to more private communication where I'm more responsive. I apologize that I don't reply to every single email that I get. I try. I probably get 7 or 10 a day. This guy says I was kidding. Let's see. Road trip from Tucson. Hey, everybody should go to the Farm Truck and Asian Farmapalooza event in Tucson the weekend before, and then do a loop and come over to our event. That'd be cool. Maybe I should do that. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I will do that. I'm not swearing to that, but I'll look into it. Interesting. Could not hear you talking because a commercial came on while you were talking and I could not skip it. Ask your question. I'll address it again. Hey, thanks everybody for still watching. 150 on Instagram, 2,150 here. Want to get my kids into the hobby, spectator only. What's a good event to spend a few hours? This is a great event for that. It's so accessible. The cars are not out of reach. The people are not out of reach. The racing's not out of reach. There's good action in the Vice Grip Garage Burnout pit. There's good action on the track. This is a great event for somebody who's never drag raced before. Come on out. Camping situation. Yes, you can either car camp or tent camp, or car camp with a tent, or have an RV. And you have to buy the tickets. They're on the float. When you buy your ticket, you have to buy an add-on for a camping space. And the same is true for racers. You can buy in pits camping spots. The spectators and non-race participants cannot park in the pits. It's another thing we got to police better so that we don't have that trailer problem that we had. Someone said Kingman drags are the weekend before this too. Maybe I should drive from Kingman to here. So many ideas. I'm actually writing down Kingman. Did that one time. Well, okay. Will there be camping? People are asking about camping a lot. I've answered it a bunch. Yes, there's camping. You will buy your camp spot after you buy your ticket. It's an add-on to your ticket. I'm really surprised that people aren't throwing a bunch of shade at all of this, I have to admit. I guess I've done a pretty good job figuring it all out. I hope I didn't overpromise and underdeliver. Vendor participation, same deal. Email me, heyfreiburger@gmail.com. You know what? For both of you who've asked about sponsorship, also copy Duct Tape Drags at gmail.com. It is duct with a T. It is not duck like the bird. It's DUCT, ducttapedrags.com. Are we capping the number of tickets available? Yes, race entries will be capped. It has been 400. I believe that's where we are. So yes, and I don't know what the car show and camping cap is yet. We have more space at this place. Oh, people also ask, where's the camping? I don't know. I'm sorry. Information I should have been prepared with. I don't have the plot yet. But I can't answer that question. I'm sorry. Not fully buttoned down. No alcohol allowed in. That is correct. Can we buy a camp spot if we decide closer to the event if we buy a ticket without now? I believe so. I think if you buy a spectator ticket now, you can go in later and add a camping ticket. If not, email ducttapedrags@gmail.com. That's not me. That is my event manager, events person. Ducttapedrags@gmail.com for those questions. Do I have to bring my wife? You actually don't. Oh, this guy says there's campgrounds across the street too. I am going to bet that we're cheaper. I'm going to guess. That could be wrong, but I would look at that. Look at the pricing. What is the meet and greet going to consist of, subject to change? It's the same thing we've had before. I don't know where it can be held there. I don't know if I sure hope we can find an indoor space. I don't know. If not, it'll be under the pavilion. It'll just be the same as we've had before, a line, and me and my friends will be there, and we're happy to sign whatever you bring us and take photos. And I think I mentioned there's going to be more of those, and that we will be available just walking around to more people, doing that as much as we possibly can. And the casino is right there. Another one's pointing out it is sort of a perk that if you want to gamble, the casino is right there. What are the dates? October 16th and 17th, Firebird Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona. Okay, you know what? Since the questions are not like rolling in, I'm going to start to just address all kinds of stuff. So ask me things and I will do my best to answer them. If there's more event stuff that comes up, I will feed it in as we go. But let's just open it up to all sorts of questions about my channel, my past life on TV and magazines, although I'm a little bit tired of talking about that, or project cars, tech stuff, engine things, other people I may know. Throw out some questions. What are you planning for the Orange Possum special? Okay. Oh, you know what? Let's get into this. I did say at the top of the show that there are some things that I want to discuss with you. We'll get back on those subjects because they're pretty good. The van is one of the vehicles that I know I need to start working on more often. I've got 4 vehicles that are like priorities that try and hold me to this. You won't be successful, but I'm really trying to cut down my volume of cars and focus on finishing some of the ones that I have. And the ones that are priority for me right now are the Barn Find Super Bee, the Orange Possum Special Van, the 72 F100, and my new Gumby Model A. And as a side note, I need to fix, hey, thanks for the $20. I appreciate you. As a side note, Art, I want to fix my Jeepster Commando too, and I'll have to sell that once I get it fixed. Blah, blah. This guy says he wants to see more Super Bee. Bummed I got rid of the Roadrunner. I did sell that brown 72 Roadrunner that I had. Once again, I had 43 or 4 cars. I just had to cut back, had to make tough love decisions, and I will continue to. And it will make no sense to people that I'm selling stuff on one hand and buying stuff on another. But what I'm into right now is having new experiences with new cars that I've always sort of wanted to have and experience, but not own. Like, I was looking at a Carmen Ghia today. I was looking at an RX-7. You know, I might buy that, drive for a little while, flip it to one of you, give it away, whatever. Wow, questions are going fast. Who won the C20? Okay, we're not doing the drawing for my C20 pickup until next week. And the reason for that is we have to wait for all the mail-in entries to come. Thoughts on aluminum heads and a thumper cam for a 440. You can see exactly that on an episode of Engine Masters that we put together. You know, the problem is that those 440 motorhome engines are so doggy because they have 7.5 to 1 compression. What I do is I go ahead and do stuff like that, knowing that eventually I'll rebuild the short block and give it some compression, and then it'll actually be pretty good. Buy the parts once. So sure, put your cam in it, put your heads on it, but expect to be disappointed and then get yourself another 440 short block later. Oh, this guy's nice. He says he came from Instagram to YouTube, wanted to say that I was the inspiration for him building rat-infested tire shredders. Glad to hear it. Do I have a fan mail address? It is heyfreiburger@gmail.com. H-E-Y Freiburger@gmail.com. People are asking a lot, you know, do you have plans to go here? Do you have plans to go there? I don't have plans for big travel right now. I don't have a plan of, yes, I'm going to be in the UK next year, or yeah, I'm going to be in Poughkeepsie a week from Tuesday. I don't have any of that. Where can I send you an email about a 1939 Buick 8? I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to offer you about anything regarding a 1939 Buick 8, but it is heyfreiburger@gmail.com. How do we learn about what I am offering for sale? You go and follow my social media, which is at David Freiburger on both Facebook and Instagram. And that is where I post the stuff for sale if I'm going to put it up publicly. Also, here on YouTube, I did a video a while back, just a video of the 7 cars that I had for sale at that time. I don't remember how much it was. And I couldn't believe how many views that got. It was really, really popular. I don't know if I can do that again and have it be a hit, but maybe I will. I don't know. Anyway, YouTube video and Facebook and Instagram posts. What about a Gambler 500 race? Have you ever done one? I have not done a Gambler 500. I started talking about the orange van and you're waiting for the info. I was just saying that the Orange Possum Special is one of the vehicles I have that I'm most excited about. And I have an engine I'm putting together for it. I ended up going deeper on this thing that I thought I was going to. Part of the reason for the delay in videos on the Orange Possum Special is I went to go just actually make it run and drive good. And for reasons you'll discover in the video, I'm not doing that. I'm going to put a new engine and trans in it. I love it that much. I don't want to spend a fortune on it, and I still want it to be plenty drivable. So it's not like I'm putting 600 horsepower in it. I'm making it pretty accessible. And that is what slowed me down. I have a short block. I have a new Gear Star transmission for it. And I am going to be throwing that together with Lucky Costa coming up. Oh, is Lucky on here right now? I just saw somebody mention, hi, Lucky. Yeah, I texted Lucky, will you please help me change the engine and transmission in my van? So the transmission's taking up room at his shop, and I need to get back on that. What motor plans do you have for the old Ford, David? Which one? My Model A has a small block Chevy, which will bring us to the list of hot topics we'll bring up here in a moment. And on my 68 Galaxy has a 390 in it. You'll see that coming up in a video. Thanks very much for the $20, Atomic Wolf. And then my 72 F100 is also a 390. Do I have any other Fords right now? Maybe. I have a Jeep with a 260 Ford in it. Oh, what happened to the Loans Make Drag Racing Great Again sticker? I don't know. I should remind Loans to print some of those for Drag Week. And by the way, Loans and I are signed up to announce Drag Week again. $10. Thank you, 455 Riviera guy. Who is going to do TA aluminum heads? Like your thoughts as to a good cruiser cam that can still light up the Cooper Cobras. Probably not enough information for me right there to actually make a call for you. 10-to-1 compression deal. I mean, you do like a 218 at 50 deal. That's going to be a really, really, really low RPM thumper. If you're willing to put up with some lope and stuff, you could probably go as big as like 230 at 50 and you'll still like that thing. Why don't I sell a shirt that says it's really good? Would that make any sense? I realize I always say, oh yeah, it's really good. Like my atomic ball of spark plugs is really good. I know I say that out of habit. I don't know if people would get it on a t-shirt. Would they really? Thanks for the $5 though. All right, let's talk for a second about the whole engine swap mismatch thing. I promised you at the top of the show that I would get into this heated subject. This guy says, what was the attendance for Duct Tape Drags last year? Were there more attendees than expected? Yeah, part of the problem was that it was by far the biggest one we'd ever had. So engine swap mismatch. I revealed on my social media that I was putting a small block Chevy in my 1929 Ford Model A hot rod, and people were really, really heated about it. And I just am surprised that that's still a thing, because I will argue, and this will make you Ford guys hate me even worse, that over the period of hot rodding, there have been more small block Chevys put into Model A's than there have small block Fords. Now, I'm narrowing the conversation to small block Fords because that was the post I made, is like comparing the small block Chevy to the small block Ford in the same car. If you want to say, just put a Ford in a Ford, sure. Flatheads and Pinto 2.3s and FEs, all of that stuff has happened. But if you want to look at small block Ford versus small block Chevy, my argument is that more of them have had small block Chevys in it. Now, that doesn't make it good. That makes it what everybody does, which makes it kind of boring. And I'm admitting I'm breaking no new ground with my project. It's just what I want because it's the cars that inspired me and that I visualized when I was a kid. See, the magazines brainwashed me before I even got to this point. It's not my fault. It's their fault, right? But here's the actual deal. 2 points about old hot rodding. And in my video coming up, you'll see that I made the quip that, the small block Chevy is more traditional. And I needed to give more background than that. But here's the thing. Small block Chevy came out in 1955. When did the small block Ford come out? 1961 and then 2. And it was 221 cubic inches. And so the 55 Chevy had like a 6-year run up before the small block Ford came out. And when the small block Ford came out, it was less displacement than the small block Chevy that you could buy at the same time. And so more people were swapping the small blocks into their old Ford hot rods. Why were they doing that? Because from the dawn of hot rodding, the deal was I take the car that I got that I probably paid $3 for my Model A in 1947, and I use the engine that is accessible to me, that is the cheapest, easiest to install, and makes the most horsepower. And that's why Chrysler Hemis were popular. They came out of the full-size Chrysler cars and people put them in their lightweight hot rods. That's why the 49 Olds rocket engines were popular before the small block Chevy. And it's why Hot Rod Magazine back in the 50s had articles all the time about how to put a Buick in your Ford, a Pontiac in your Ford, a Ford in your Chevy. I mean, the crossover was crazy. And my argument is that it wasn't until the muscle car era that they started marketing the performance brands as I'm a Chevy guy or I'm a Ford guy. And I think that's when the whole, if you have a Chevy car, it's got to have a Chevy engine. If you have a Ford car, it's got to have a Ford engine. I think that's the era that came from. And so that is the generation after the original hot rodders. So the reason I say that the small block Chevy is more traditional in a Ford is because it happened earlier. It happened more frequently. The mainstream cars that drew my attention had them. So that's my argument about that. It of course extends into the argument today of should you put LSs in everything? Now, on the flip side of this, I will tell you, I think a Ford FE and a Model A would be absolutely fantastic. It just happens to not be what I want to do this time. The other thing is that I would love to put a Ford in a Chevy. I would absolutely do that. I have swung a 426 Hemi into the Crusher Camaro to see how it fits. I have swung a 440 Mopar into the Field Car 56 Chevy to see if it fits. So while I did used to be a, engine and car must match guy, I no longer am. That's my side of the argument. Your opinion may differ. Thank you for the $10, Michael Hausman. Thank you for the $2, Motorbread. Oh, he said he's got this engine for sale and he's going to email me about it. Thank you. He's a drive what I can afford guy. Yes. Even manufacturers did it. When Corvette needed more powerful engines, they went to Mercury to get them. Oh, he's talking about the the first ZR1, right? Okay. He meant Mercury Marine, I think. This guy put a 318 in a C10 Chevy. That's cool. Will I ever in a jet boat? No, totally not into it. Love the channel. Keep it coming. Thank you very much, Chris. And thanks for the $10. Hair metal sucks. Dude, unfollow. Will we ever see a DF event at Famoso? Thank you very much, Rex. I tried that at one time and it was not going to work out. I don't know. ZR1, thank you. Music died after hair metal. I can't argue that, but yes. Will you ever do a boosted Coyote in something? I would like to do a Coyote in something. I've talked about a Coyote in the Crusher Camaro. That would be great. Now, the likelihood of me doing it is low, not because I don't like it. I think it would be awesome. It's a time and money thing. I'm definitely feeling the heat of having to do YouTube videos every single week, and I'm not finding time to do massive projects like that. And I don't have fabrication skills or location. My garage is this. I only work in my driveway. I don't have a shop to work in. I don't tend to mooch other people, except for my friends like Sam, you'll see, is helping me with my Model A. But it would be difficult for me to pull that off from a fabrication point of view. And I realize I've got the horsepower to call people, find them, make them do things for me, but I'm not comfortable with it, I guess. I don't love it. When people offer help, I feel okay. I don't like going to a shop and say, hey, give me free stuff, unless I already have a relationship with them that's developed over 30 years or something like that. So I don't cold call people and ask them for things, typically. Dude, I need a bigger place. Yeah. Can I tell you about the 01 Bullet I used to own? Yeah, I had a 01 Bullet that I bought new. It was Dark Island Green. All right, let's talk to the other subject that came up the other day that people got really, really mad about. And it was ported versus manifold vacuum. I'm not going to talk about this for very long, but obviously that is your ported vacuum bung right there, and that is manifold vacuum down under here. Which one do you connect to your vacuum advance? So many people have hard and fast rules about this. You always connect to ported. They get mad about it. Other people are like, you always connect a manifold vacuum. Ported vacuum was for nothing but smog control. You just see people adamant about this stuff. I'm the guy who says it depends. It literally depends. It is something to try on your car and to play with. In my experience, it's best to go straight to manifold vacuum if you've got a big cam, because even though they make much lower vacuum, they can help bring in more timing advance to help smooth the engine and help it idle faster, which will also help it make more vacuum, which just sort of helps it reach a better equilibrium at idle so that it's not quite as nasty. If you have a bone stock camshaft, or if you've got the dinky camshaft I almost accidentally recommended to that guy for his Buick 455, then you probably want ported. And the reason for that is it's going to have so much manifold vacuum that when you connect it to the manifold, the vacuum advance would pull all the timing in. And as soon as you touch it, that vacuum's going to go away. You're going to lose all your timing and you might have a stumble. So it depends is my argument. You get to decide. This guy goes, just leave the vacuum advance unhooked and there's nothing to argue about. I was that guy for decades, so I feel you. I get you. I will also tell you from my more adult experience, if I may say, vacuum advance helps it run cooler at idle. It helps it get better gas mileage. It helps it be smoother. It helps it not foul plugs. It cruises with less, like, I don't know, roughness on the highway. For a street car, I'm a vacuum advance guy. For a race car, I'm a lock the timing out guy. I got to tell you. But anyway, there you go. 146 people on Instagram, almost 200, 2185 on Facebook. So that is the ported versus vacuum argument. Here's a question. Should I make a video on exactly that? Should I get a car? Should I was thinking this through last night, how I could run 2 vacuum gauges, one unported, one on not ported. And I was thinking how I could get a camera and visually show you what's going on and like really, really hyper tune a vacuum advance. This does not sound like gripping YouTube content in the face of Weston Champlin building a, Raptor on 78-inch saw blades and all that stuff, but it might be interesting information that's more my speed. Let's go back to questions. I do have one more hot topic to debate with you coming up and give you my opinion on that I told you I would at the start of the show. Oh, this guy says Birdsong did a great video on vacuum advance. He probably did. Birdsong's a really good carburetor tuner. I would like to see that. Any upcoming automotive history videos? All my videos these days tend to have an element of that. I try and feed it in a little bit here and there. Some people love it. Some people think it's just old man stuff. I don't have one coming up immediately that is about nothing but history of stuff. If you want that, follow my buddy Brian Loans. He's got a channel on YouTube here, and he does almost nothing but history stuff and is really good at it. So check that out. Let's see. Oh, thank you very much, Phil, for asking about my shoulder. My left shoulder is really messed up, and has been since December. And I went to one doctor who said, yeah, you're messed up. Go to physical therapy. I got 5 physical therapy appointments. That stopped, and I haven't dealt with it since. And I've been too busy to go to the doctor. I will say it used to be frozen. Like I could not move it. And it was excruciating, actual double over in agony, tear weeping kind of pain. Now it's just extremely limited movement and no strength at all. I absolutely have to deal with it. I know that ignoring it is probably giving me a long-term problem. You'll see me, like I was reviewing next week's video earlier today, and you'll see me and another guy picking up a frame, and you'll see that I'm like picking it up this way with one hand, and the other hand I'm just like trying to, because I can't do this, So anyway, that's some sort of either rotator cuff or something problem. I don't know what it is, but I do need to go to the doctor. Thank you. Am I not doing NHRA this year? I did the Pomona. I did Pomona. I did the Winter Nationals. I missed an earlier one because I was sick. The Gators I didn't go to, and the next one I'm scheduled for is Indy. Start doing yoga. Yeah, probably. You know what? I don't spend 10 minutes a day for myself. I'm just constantly doing other stuff. Let's see. Lots of people diagnosing me here. Thank you. I appreciate it. Some people probably qualified, others not so much. All right, I am poised to answer your questions, maybe about technical stuff. Hello from Naval Nuclear Power Training Command. Hey, James, thank you very much. This guy's late. Okay, let me tell you what you missed. Duct Tape Drags coming to Firebird Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona, October 16th and 17th with myself and Derek from Vice Grip Garage, and we made a bunch of changes to try and make it a better experience for you, the participants and the spectators. How's that for a sales pitch? Oh, tickets for this deal and registration for either spectating, camping, racing, burnouts, it's all on sale right now at thefoat.com. You just have to go to the FOAT, thefoat.com, search Duct Tape Drags, you'll find it. The ducttapedrags.com website is still there, but I have failed to fill it out with all the appropriate information. I'm late on that, and I'll probably also fail on my self-imposed deadline that I promised you in order to get it live late next week. We'll see. Oh, there's no way I'm getting it live late next week. Maybe early the week after that. It's going to be longer than I really want it to be. What's going on with the Dragonair? I still have the Dragonair. That is my, I think, 70 Jeep Wagoneer that has a pro-charged 408 LS motor in it, a Gearstar 4L80E, a Texas Speed and Performance 9-inch, and suspension that is an absolute hazard to myself and everybody else nearby. Thank you, John, for giving me $10 to tell me that you would watch every tuning video. It's super interesting to me. Oh, let me ask you this. So I have seen a bunch of people on my carburetor videos say, you need to try the, what's it called? Carb Doctor, Super Magic Carb thing. Somebody can tell me what it is. Who's the guy that makes the organized leak? It's like an idle air control motor that he uses and adjusts it with the air fuel ratio thing. Carb Cheater. Yeah, the Carb Cheater. I was looking at that guy's website last night. Should I do a video investigating the Carb Cheater? I think I probably should. But then looked it up, and it seems like there's not that many videos that have that much traction that are about it. I don't know if it's a popular enough thing that I should address it or not. I have no real preconceived okay, I take it back. I do have a preconceived notion, but my preconceived notion is that it's complexity that I don't need. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Should I try it? I'm thinking about it. I started to buy one last night, and I actually thought to myself, I'm not sure I want to buy this under my name, because on the off chance that the guy recognizes it, I don't want him either giving it to me for free or calling me with advice or anything. I want to experience the thing exactly like any other customer. And so maybe I'll do that. You let me know. Guys asking me if I found a Tri-5 yet. I was searching hot and heavy for either a Roadster, a Tri-5, or a 39 or 40 Ford. Part of my whole deal about don't get it right, just get it running applied itself to this situation. I didn't want to spend the money that it takes to own a lot of that stuff. And I ended up compromising. I really wanted a 39 Ford Coupe. I ended up buying a 40 Ford Standard sedan. So I did get a 40 Ford, and I have not acquired it yet. You remind me that I need to make that happen. It's another thing that I'm too late on, but I did spend that money on that. I still do have cars that are out of my way and more that need to get out of my way. I'm still kind of looking for a Tri-5, but I'm definitely I need it to be running driving under $30,000 Tri-5 guy. But as a caveat to that, I'm willing to have a four-door. I have decided, though, that I really want a 55. I might accept a 56. I don't really want a 57. I might have to not get it right, just get it running and actually acquire one. We'll see, but there's your answer. Power valve selection based on idle vacuum or cruise vacuum. And no, I did a lot of that on the carburetor tuning video that I did. I suppose I could do one video isolating something like the power valve, but the problem is that all the systems work together, so it kind of needs a lot. What do I spend on storage? That is the problem, my friend. I spend mortgage loads of money storing all these cars, and that's why it's got to stop. That's why I'm selling a lot of stuff. We need a video of your Dodge Ram V10 2500. I I know a lot of people see that as an enthusiast vehicle. It's a regular cab, long bed, 4x4, 5-speed V10 99 Dodge truck. I bought it brand new. I understand people see it as an enthusiast vehicle and it's really cool. To me, it's just something that I bought new as a tool, and I've used it as a tool for a long time. And now it's kind of got its tongue hanging out, and I'm kind of ready to get a newer truck. But and I don't feel like working on it. My wife the other day is like, "Why don't you just change that throw-up bearing?" I'm like, I am not lying on my driveway, removing a transfer case and an NV4500 and changing a throw-up bearing. So, yeah, don't know. This guy has a 77 El Camino because roadkill. That's cool. Favorite car movies. People ask this one a lot. And my new version of this is, I don't like the storyline because I think the Peter Fonda character is actually a terrible guy, but I love Dirty Mary Crazy Larry stunt driving. 3387 Redden, thanks for the $20. I'm glad you appreciate the content. Very cool. Thank you for giving me tips. I never ask for those, but it's so generous and very much appreciated. Thank you for that. Oh, you know what? I haven't asked or answered a single question off Instagram. Let's see. Did the Caddy Gremmy leave the fleet yet? Yes. One of the cars that was for sale in my last Cars for Sale video was the Caddy Gremmy, and it is gone. Bless your neighbors while working in the driveway. Yes. What's going on with your hearing? This is fair. I hope you see me wearing earplugs more and more and more in videos. I am finally desperately trying to take care of my ears because it's a serious, serious problem. My tinnitus is so bad. And the thing that I've now found is it's reached a certain level that it now gets worse very easily. So I wear earplugs just driving cars with the window rolled down. So I know that my channel and my TV shows have been terrible about PPE. They will continue to be honest. You got to pick your missions, I guess. And my mission would be to tell you to wear earplugs because you do not want to live with what goes on in my head every day. And I don't mean thoughts, I mean the ringing. So earplugs. Let's see. Do I encourage my buddies to wear hearing protection? Yeah, but you know how guys are. It's like, guys like, I don't need it. I can squint. I'm doing do the plug. I mean, you know how it is. Us guys don't want to deal with the stuff. I think the younger guys do more than people of my generation, but guys have to come to their own conclusions about the stuff. And I will tell you that I now truly am at the point where this is hampering my life in a number of ways. And that is the thing, is that you think you're macho and don't care and can do the safety squint until you actually lose an eye and you find out how it hampers your life. So yeah, you know, I'm still going to be bad about it. You're still going to see me doing the safety squint, but at least I'm on it for the ears. Yes. And hair metal is a huge part of it. That is no joke. I remember going to 2 concerts at the Hollywood Palladium, and at both of them, they had amps that were stacked on the sides of the stages, sort of out into the pit. And I remember standing right next to them at both Ramones and Dokken because I actually liked the sensation of my eardrum, I don't know, like hitting the rev limiter. I don't know what to say. I could actually feel it going to the point where it wasn't hearing anymore. It was like feeling something. And that was the beginning of the end of all of this. But then it's also been lots of dyno testing, lots of other concerts, lots of shooting drag racing with no hearing protection, lots of open headers. Finnegan and I drove the muscle truck with one open header for like 2 hours one night on the freeway in second gear. Stupidest thing ever. There's a lot of reasons. Vibration distortion. Yeah. Anyway, this is getting negative. Let's see. Blame George Lynch. Yes. And Joey Ramone, or I guess Johnny Ramone. Think about all the tire smoke I've inhaled. That's no joke. And you know what I'm awful about on PPE is gloves. You've seen me handle so many chemicals. It's amazing. No one of my generation was taught to wear gloves. And I can't do it. I can't feel stuff. It's bad. So yeah, do as I say, not as I do. Protect yourself or you will regret it. Oh, you went to docking at the Starwood. Rex Cars went to docking at the Starwood. The Starwood is a legendary old club here in Hollywood. I think the Beverly Center is where it was now. And it was earliest days of the likes of Van Halen and Motley Crue. It was just ahead of my time. So I never went to the Starwood. I was at all the other joints, but Starwood was gone by the time I was into it. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I saw docking at a lot of places. I guess I was trying to think of small venues. The only small venue I saw him at was at the Palladium. I saw the Ramones at the Palace. Anyone been to the Hollywood Palace? Can you imagine the Ramones in that room? I got thrown out too for moshing too hard. Okay, let's talk about cars more. When you jumped the station wagon, do you think that's what killed your back? Man, we are getting into some old man situation here. Old guys sit around and talk about all their health problems. Yes, I jumped that Buick station wagon on roadkill and completely exploded a disc. It's a fact. Am I going to be in Norwalk next weekend? No. When is Discovery going to release the last season of Roadkill Garage? I have no idea. I literally don't know anyone who works at Discovery. I know one guy who works at Warner Brothers. Has nothing to do with anything that I did whatsoever. This guy says, not to belabor the ear thing, he says, I can highly recommend custom earplugs, so much more comfortable. So I have custom molded silicone earplugs. I've had two different sets of them. They actually don't damp as much as a good dense foam roll-up earplug properly used. And I turn them around backwards and use the fat side. And I use the Milwaukee ones. They're red. I think they're rated at a 30 decibel reduction. They might actually be a little more than that. And they're really, really good. And I prefer them to the silicone. And even my ear doctor said, yeah, the silicone passes more noise than the foam. So there you go. At Firebird, we'll be able to pit next to our road trip partners. Great question. That I don't have an answer to. I don't know how to sort out. I don't know how to address that at this moment. I will bring it up. I will take it as a point. I will write it down. Pit partners. Thank you. Let's see. 32 dB reduction on the Milwaukees. Thank you very much, Kyle. It's all health conversation now. Let's talk about cars. Will there be camping at Firebird? Yes, there's camping at the event. You can buy tickets when you go on the float. Do popping BMW exhausts bother you as much as they do me? No more than any other super annoying exhaust sound. Is Finnegan going to be there? I haven't addressed it yet. I need to talk to Finn about a couple things. Bring back DF loot on road trips. So DF loot is this thing that I actually stole from Clay Milliken, who stole from someone else, which is when you're on a road trip, as I often am, and you're at a gas station in the middle of nowhere, take a t-shirt and a sticker and sign it and say, hey, and put on social media, I've hidden this behind this, dumpster at this gas station. Come on and get it. It seemed all of a sudden everybody was doing that and it stopped being a thing. And we used to do it on roadkill and we would do it and get dog piles of people. And I think the interest in it sort of waned. I stopped doing it. And now I almost see no one doing it. I don't know how many people would care. And I end up being in so many spots that are so far away from civilization. Although I guess it gives the one guy a chance. I remember once I did have a guy like a week later go, I drove 2 hours. He was going someplace else and I found it. So yeah, I don't think that's as hot as it used to be. Can you turn that Edelbrock manifold box right side up? Is something bothering your feng shui over here? Oh, you're looking on Instagram where I think it's reverse image. I think that's what it is. Waiting for car questions. What are your thoughts on the 1958 Edsel? The 58 is the best Edsel, arguably the only Edsel. Although it is kind of cool to have a 60 because people didn't know they even exist and they don't really recognize them and they're really not that different than the regular Ford. Are you going to be at Carlisle? I've been to Carlisle. I don't have a plan to be there again. Edelbrock Mux, no, the one over your shoulder. Oh, this one. No, I'm not hopping up and turning that the other way around. Sorry. You can get over it. Don't look. Here, how do I do it? There. I'll do that for you the rest of the live feed. How's that? You don't have to look at it. Me and Derek are the reason why he has his crusty Ranchero and Chevelle. I'm super happy to have motivated you. That's cool. Thank you. Any East Coast trips in the future, maybe with Finnegan? If I did it, it would probably be with Finnegan, but I don't have anything planned. You know what I really want to do? In fact, I think I've mentioned this before and I haven't followed through on it. I really want to take Highway 6 from Cape Cod all the way back to California. Not 66, Highway 6. Maybe that'll happen someday. It keeps being a time problem. You know what I am going to do? I'm going to bring up the very last hot topic. I mentioned at the top of this extended live feed that now has 2,300 people watching here on YouTube and another 150 on Instagram. I mentioned that I was going to talk to you about 3 hot topics people were really mad at me about in recent posts and videos. One was engine swap mismatch, Ford engine or Ford car Chevy engine. Other was ported versus manifold vacuum. This one, definition of a barn find or a survivor. Why do people get so torqued about this? I take that back. I completely understand why people get so torqued about this because it was a pet peeve of mine when I was a magazine editor, which is everyone wants to call everything a barn find these days. And the reason is because it sells. Back when I was a magazine editor is when the whole barn find thing first came up, and you almost could never fail putting barn finds on the cover. It always sold the magazine. And if you look at YouTube videos, it always sells the YouTube video. And that's why people use it so much, even for cars that are not really barn finds. So the question is, how persnickety are you about the actual definition? Does the car literally have to be something that was found inside a barn that everyone had forgotten about and the barn fell down and they found the car? Because that's where it came from. Or is it now a blanket term that just means car that's been sitting around for a long time? Now, some people will say barn find means the car must be forgotten. People must not know it's sitting there. And so therefore, like my Super Bee, when it was sitting in my garage for 30 years, completely ignored. I knew it was there. I'd owned it the whole time. It's not a discovery. It's just a car I've ignored. Is that a barn find? Not for me. Is it a barn find for someone else? You get to pick, because that's exactly what I did. There was a guy who I got my yellow Super Bee from, who had owned it since the 1980s, and it was parked for 36 or 37 years. I forget what my thumbnail says. And I call it a barn find. It was in a barn. It was covered in dirt. It wasn't forgotten. The same guy owned it. He knew it was there. It was there the whole time. Now, I suppose if I had stumbled into a barn and found it and talked the guy into selling me it, maybe that's a barn find. This guy knew it was there. So does that make it not a barn find? Who cares? I absolutely was on the side of let's pick this to death when I was a magazine editor. Now I'm like, you know what? It just describes something that's been sitting forever, probably inside, and it's probably somewhat preserved. That's my take. What's yours? Yeah, this guy says people get mad when you call them barn finds when they were found in a garage. It could be in the exact same condition. They'll be mad. I don't get it. Exactly. That's my point. Dan Halsey, thank you for asking. What's my favorite Mopar? I always said it was the car that I owned, the 1971 Roadrunner, 446 pack, 4-speed, black with a black stripe, and the two-tone bench, black and silver interior, and with a super track pack and with an air grabber. That car that I owned, I think I will call my favorite Mopar. Yeah, people are saying a barn finds anything was inside and obscured. People use barn find even if it's a field find, although I see people saying field find. I think field find adds sort of an edge of, wow, this car's actually savable and it's been sitting outside for 40 years. That's kind of cool. Barn find is the next of kin finds it cleaning out a garage or barn or window. I have this old car. And that's the only definition? Nobody can ever say anything else? I feel you. Do I use collector insurance? No, I actually don't. I guess I don't know why. I don't. People ask also, how do I possibly insure so many cars? And the answer is I don't. I only insure for driving the ones that I'm currently driving. So it's not like I have a fleet of 33 cars registered and insured. I shouldn't tell the state of California that because There's areas where I have cars stored where they're not supposed to be if they're not registered, but ooh, the Edelbrock XC9 or the Mickey Thompson Cross Ram, which is better for small block Chevy performance? Did I test this? Too many miles. I may have. I've done a couple shootouts of old vintage intake manifolds. I have tested cross rams. Have I ever done the Mickey Thompson versus the Edelbrock? I have both of them. I don't know. I can't give you a fair answer. I will tell you this. A lot of those cross rams that, and what we're talking about, by the way, do I have one in sight? No, I don't. We're talking about the cross rams where there's one carburetor here and there's one carburetor here and the runners go like this. Some of them are just 4 cylinders and 4 cylinders. Some of them share a plenum. They have a tube that shares the plenum underneath both carburetors. The ones that run better are the ones that do have a attached plenum. So I will tell you that. For $10, this guy asked me, is a 4L80 easy to swap from a 700 R4? Couple things about that. You're going to need a computer to control it unless it's a full manual valve body. And so there is that. It is a physically larger transmission. You may have some floorboard clearance problems. The trans mount's in a different place. So there's quite a bit to that. Let's see. Will you do another video with Finnegan? Yes. He's been nagging me on that. I've been the problem. You see, this is a recurring thing. I'm so busy, I'm just dropping balls right and left. But yeah, and Finnegan and I will be together again at Roadkill Nights. Yep, we're going to do it again with Motor Trend and Dodge on Woodward Avenue for racing in Pontiac, Michigan, coming up, I think, is it August 8th? Somebody tell me. You can Google it. Roadkill Nights is coming back, and Finnegan and I will be there. So there you go. This guy says he misses the Gargantua wagon. So the Gargantua wagon is that 68 Chrysler Town and Country station wagon that we had on Roadkill Garage, the one where I did the killer power slide in it at the beginning of most episodes that, you know, of the later seasons. And one of our guys bought that thing when Motor Trend Productions folded up, and he was asking $15,000 for it. And I thought he was absolutely off his crock, man. And then he put it on Bring a Trailer and sold it for $15,000, which gives me a lesson. I feel like I sell my stuff at pretty fair prices. People go, oh, it's the Freiburger tax. I don't think I do that, but of course, nobody thinks that they're a jerk that way. I think I price my stuff pretty much on market, and I guess I should put them on Bring a Trailer because I have seen some stuff sell for insane money there. I did just sell my generic Jeep the other day. Let's see. This guy misses the Crusher Impala. I do too, but I do still own it, and I would like to get it going. This guy says, ever worked on a Plymouth Fury? How about suggestions for a 65 Fury 3? I don't know. Do you have a 273 in it, or is it a big block? The C bodies have not really been my jam for a long time, although I just had a 68 Chrysler Newport convertible, and I'm about to get a 71 New Yorker, big old 4-door, super nice car. This guy says, this guy was last year's NA winner here. Would you kick my Camaro out? Probably. I think he's asking about joining Battle of the Beaters again next year. You know what? We don't want to damp fun, but we also want to just sort of reel it back to a acceptable level of bogusness rather than this level of bogusness. Will you get a full-size GM again? I loved the Macho Grande. I'll never get over Macho Grande. Macho Grande was my 73 GMC Suburban, and it didn't have barn doors, so it had to leave. And I've had a barn door Suburban since then, and I probably am going to buy another barn door Suburban. Stay tuned. This guy says, I hate it when people say their unibody cars had a frame-off restoration. You know what? That's another semantics one, isn't it? That's a barn find argument. Can you do a frame-off restoration on a Mopar? Well, you will unbolt the K-member, but it doesn't have a subframe. Can you do a frame-off on a 67 Camaro that has a subframe? Is that a frame-off? Or does frame off these days just mean I took it 100% apart and put the body on a rotisserie so that I could paint the underside? So semantics, legitimate definition, or do we follow the intent of what they're actually saying? Duct tape road race. I really want to do an autocross. I don't think that's in the cards. We'll see. Don't hold your breath. One guy got the Macho Grande joke. This guy says, no frame off. People are all asking where I'm moving to. I don't have any immediate plans to move, and I don't know. Thoughts on a hot rod Ford 289 build? I love the 289. It's kind of hard to argue to build a 289 instead of a 302 when they're the exact same engine with a different bore, and the 302 is a very common 4-inch bore and is going to breathe better as a result of that. You know, but the 289 somehow just has a mystique and a romance to it, doesn't it? I really like them. I would kind of do it. Freiburger, opinion, finish my 72 D100 Slant 6 project or sell it and get an 86 Toyota pickup that's closer to roadworthy. My mini truck guys would disagree with this. I'm going to say stick with the 72 because that's cool. And I have nothing against the mini truck, but I think you'll regret getting rid of that old one. I did a video recently with Dave Chappelle where we drove his little Mazda mini truck all the way north 1,200 miles to his place. And, you know, I'm not a mini truck guy, never will be, but I understood the appeal, man. He bought it for cheap. It's got a stick. You rage around in the thing. It was comfortable. You could throw your junk in the back. And here's the main thing. I couldn't believe how many people talked to us in gas stations and at stops and things when we had that little Mazda mini pickup. So many guys, oh yeah, good days. All right, I had one of those. I'm like, wow, this is a whole different level of nostalgia that I skipped. I'm too old for it, I guess. But people really dug it when we were out on the road. There's a whole group of people who actually like mini trucks. Would I ever build a 273 Mopar? Now, unlike the 289 that I would build, I wouldn't bother with a 273. You know, Dulcich is all over the 318. He loves the 318. He builds a stout 318. You can make 400 horsepower with them. It's really hard for me to disregard the ease of getting displacement. Isn't that the weird thing about us car guys? It's like we've got this perception of how we like stuff. The 289, I can accept because I use the word romance. There's a romance to it. A 260, I have a 260 in a Jeep because it was there, and I like that some old man did it way back when, and I don't want to change it. If I had to change that motor, I'd want another 260, but I'd never build myself a 260 on purpose. The 221, no, I wouldn't even begin to touch that. And it's like, you just, it's what these things mean to you, I guess, is why you would do it. And on one hand, I would say I wouldn't build a 318 because there's so much power to be had with a 360 and it's the same thing. But I would build a 289 rather than a 302 and it's the same thing. So you know how that goes. Oh, so many people ask me about like seeing Freiburger in the credits of Star Trek and many other TV shows. There was a guy named Fred Freiburger who was on those shows, and his name's spelled differently and is not a relation of mine at all. My dad was somewhat in that industry, but not that guy. Blueprint 396 small block Chevy or 60 LS? What's wrong with Blueprint 427 LS? Freiburger, what's the fastest you've made it coast to coast? I've never done like a coast to coast cannonball challenge, except for maybe in a plane. Boy, here's a broad one, another heated one. This guy's asking me, what do you think about EFI compared to a carb? Such a big conversation. You know, I tend to go to the carburetor, but I think there are absolute advantages and applications for EFI. I am an engine guy. I can't really pick it. The stuff you see sitting here is what? Carburetors. But I do love me some EFI. I just don't tend to use it for reasons of expense and complexity. My last Bonneville motor or land speed motor that I set a record with in El Mirage was the EFI. Have you met Ed Smith in Phoenix? I don't think so. Thoughts on free valve technology? That is the be all end all. It is highly technical and complicated and computer driven and expensive and all these other things. But basically what it gives you is infinite camshaft profile. And that is the day everything changes. The power that we will make when that is refined into OE applications is unbelievable. Freiburger, how you doing? I'm good. Thanks. I appreciate you. Thank you, 2,400 people watching this whole deal. I hope you're just sitting back in your garage, working, hanging out, hearing some chat. This guy says your videos are getting really good. Thanks. I actually think that they've gotten a little bit on the downside lately because shoulder. Actually, what happened was I got sick, had a really bad week where I had to post a week video, and then my shoulder went bad and had like 2 more weeks that I had to post lame stuff, to the point I think I even made posts or said in videos, I apologize, I need to make lame videos to catch up. And I got up and then I slipped again. So yes. DF, have you ever run a belt drive system? Benefits and drawbacks? Yes, I have. So the belt drive is what's used instead of a timing chain to rotate your camshaft off of your crankshaft. The advantage of the belt drive is numerous. One, well, first of all, I'll describe to you that you can get 2 kinds, a wet or a dry. Wet means the belt is in oil underneath the cover. Dry, the cover actually leaves the belt exposed on the front of the engine, which is the type that I've used. And in that, the advantages are you can change cam timing very, very easily from outside the vehicle. The other thing is that it can make camshaft changes more quick because of the way that the front cover is designed. And they also say that the belt removes harmonics, so it doesn't impart crankshaft harmonics into the camshaft. You hear that with race technology all of the time, and I've never tested it. Dulcich did. Dulcich did a test where he actually ran single roller timing chain, double roller timing chain, I think 1 idler gear drive, 2 idler gear drive, and a belt drive, and I don't remember what he learned. Hey, Sabri Belong, thanks for the tip, and thanks to you as well. Mechanical or electronic fuel injection? Electronic all the way. Mechanical injection is so cool and looks neat. I have no ability to work on it at all, but it's cool and very difficult to tune to actually drive around seamlessly on the street. I started watching you because you picked at Derek about Indie Joan references. Yeah, I was on an episode on Derek's channel. No, or was it mine? No, it was Derek's channel. Yeah, I think it was Derek's channel. I made some reference to Indiana Jones that he didn't get. That was funny. This guy keeps posting over and over, is the best line still, came off the line faster than a prom dress after the last dance. I don't know what the best line was from my magazine days. There was a lot of stuff like that. I wish I could come up with those things as quickly in person as I can writing stuff. I really do. Oh, thank you. This guy says all your videos were really good even when you were hurt. I'm still hurt. Deeply. No, I mean, I'm still operating definitely at reduced capability. You know, you'll see me trying to work under cars, and it's that thing where I think I'm okay. I forget it's bad. I know you guys know. What was your favorite small block Chevy build that I've done? Wow. That might be a question I've never had before. I've done so many of them. Okay, I'll point out one that I really like that's sitting over here that I can't say it's the best, but it was an eye-opener. A 327 small block I did, and it makes 550 horsepower and runs 8,000 RPM. And you did the math on the specific output, and it really, really showed me sort of firsthand the advantages of low displacement and big RPM. So that was a good one. Best flip-flops. I don't even know what I'm wearing right now. I blew some out while I was on a road trip and went and bought some at a Walmart. I used to run the Quicksilver Classics or something like that. Is there one car that you've never owned but are still wanting? There's always one car that I'm wanting. always, if not multiple ones. I have a Tri-5 Chevy, but I've been shopping a lot for a Tri-5 Chevy. For some reason, I've got this idea that I have to have a Tri-5, even a four-door, in order to make it just a perfect driver and use it to circumnavigate the country. I don't know why I've decided a Tri-5's the one for that. Probably because I drove that guy's red 57 Chevy on that one trip and it was really good and I enjoyed it and I like how much visibility they have. And I'm ashamed to admit it. This is another old guy problem. And even old guys will tell me I'm completely wrong, but I kind of want a four-door instead of a two-door. They're so much more convenient on the road because you walk up, you open the door, you throw your junk in the back, slam the door and you get in the car, you know, and I am dealing with that all the time on the road with my camera gear and computer and all that other kind of stuff. And it's just so much more convenient than the trunk and way more convenient than having to fold the seat and lean over and get in the back. Wow, am I lame. Wow. 17-year-old me would not want to be me right now, admitting that the four-door seems like the better deal. Best disc brake conversion for a 68 F100 4x4 390. I don't know. I don't know the right disc brake conversion for that. I'm sorry. This guy says four doors are bad when your knees and hips go. I guess harder to get out because the door is smaller. Is that why? You're getting to the age where you need a place with a lift. That was a long time ago, man. That was a long time ago. Dulcich will still tell you that he wanted a lift on Roadkill Garage for many years. He did. And I was like, dude, it will remove the character of the show. This is about two guys working in an average garage. It's funny. I'm just glancing at Instagram and I see 50 Cal. How much did my dad pay you to hype up four doors? That's hilarious. Cal, I guess I'll see you tomorrow. That's funny. What was I saying? I don't know. Agony, old guy stuff, complaining, shaking my fist at the cloud. Let's talk more cars. What's the funnest station wagon? Okay, here's one that I haven't thought of in a long time. How about the Studebaker Wagonaire? Circa 1962, 3, 4, 5. I think they had them in two different body styles. They are the station wagon where in the way back, the whole roof section, as wide as the cargo compartment, or at least as wide as the tailgate, would slide forward into the forward part of the roof so that the back of the wagon was wide open so that you could load taller things into your wagon without laying them down. Like you could put a Christmas tree in standing up because the roof was open in the back. I remember a friend's family had one when I was a little kid, and I remember riding in the back with the top open and with the, tailgate window down, tailgate closed, with us sliding around in the back. Whee! So yeah, the Wagonaire, Wagon A-I-R-E, the Wagonaire. There you go. Why don't you talk to Newbern about a Tri-5? Okay, let me talk about my Tri-5 thing a little bit more. Also, right now, the thing I am not looking for is another major project. I have way too many of those. I've demonstrated I'm incapable of getting them done quickly enough. I need to finish the projects that I had. The new cars that I'm looking to buy, experience, road trip, modify a little bit, and then I say flip, and I don't mean for profit. I just mean maybe sell and get another one. I need them as runners. Sure, I can fix some stuff. I can't get anything that needs engine, trans, rear end, wiring, glass, interior, I can't. And I'm willing to take a car that has got almost none of that stuff, but I need something very, very close to a driver these days. The projects have got to stick with the ones I already have that are a disaster. So that's why I don't ask Newbern, because I think he only has those ones that need a lot of work. This guy says Vista Cruiser is the best wagon, which is arguable, but the top doesn't open. I guess you could throw a rock through the glass windows and it would. How do you feel about Plymouth Superbirds and Dodge Daytonas? I'll tell you a story about those. My dad was a TV commercial producer back in the 60s, and he had accounts like Chrysler, Plymouth, and they did commercials for them. And at the time, they offered him one of those cars. They literally had used one for a commercial. They had driven it. They'd done a bunch of stuff. I guess it had some road wear and stuff. And I don't know if they offered him to him or to the company he was working on. He's like, we do not want that thing. And that was common. they couldn't sell those things when they were new because they were so ludicrous, and because they're so long, they didn't fit in a garage. And that's why my dad didn't want one. Not only that, just because he is not like a bright color hot rod, crazy wing, weird nose guy. But I think it's interesting. He actually had an opportunity to own one and didn't take it, circa 69. Do I still have the CJ7? Technically, yes, but also no. I have it committed elsewhere. Best Chevy 327, 350, or 400. You know, they all have their application for different reasons. Can't really address that. What's your favorite rear axle? It also depends on what you're doing. In a car, the 9-inch, you know, I have them everywhere because Ford nailed that design. I tend to buy ones with 35 spline axles because I got a lot of 35 spline chunks and I can just rotate them. And I used to actually do that, rotate gear ratio through cars and stuff. It's sort of the universal. However, now, okay, hypocrite. Earlier in the show, I was saying, I don't care if you put a Mopar engine in your Chevy or a Ford in your Chevy or a Chevy in your Ford. I don't think a Ford 9-inch axle looks right in a Mopar. So I get it. We all have our different kinks. I wouldn't do that simply because I don't think it looks right. It doesn't remind me of the stuff that turned me on when I first got into those cars. The Dana 60 reminds me of that. But virtually any other car I would put a 9-inch in. I've had them in Chevys and in, you know, hot rods and stuff like that. Oh, that's funny. You begin to discover yourself answering some of these questions. So I also wouldn't put a 9-inch in a Jeep. I had 9 inches in my Scrambler at one time, front and rear, and I always thought a front 9-inch was a weird thing. But Curry Enterprises did that, and it was cool for a time. I like the Dana 60 for 4x4 stuff. I like Danas in general for 4x4 stuff. I prefer even a 44 to a 10 bolt. This guy's asking me opossum van updates, the orange possum special. Earlier in the feed, I covered this. I am really into it, and I'm putting a new engine and trans in it, and that is what has delayed me because I discovered the one in it I wanted to replace. Probably didn't have to be replaced. I wanted to. I want to make the van great, and I want to live in it. So that's what's coming. Where is the van? Yeah, lots of people ask about the van. The van is good. See? Van is really good. How many junkyards are burning down? Okay, I'll address this because I have posted that my guys at L&L Classics in Wendell, Idaho had their yard burn significantly. I don't know if the whole thing burned to the ground or if they've got a lot that's salvageable. I first heard it was all gone. Then I saw a video that showed some of it's there. I don't know the full extent of it, but nonetheless, the yard took heavy damage. I totally derailed from what that guy asked me because I was just thinking about my guys up there. Sorry, I was distracted by that. Oh, the question was, all these junkyards are burning down. And yeah, that yard was extensively damaged in this big fire, but that fire started like a couple miles away and the wind whipped it that way. And the terrain out there, if you saw it, it is just dry sage or brush. And the wind just makes it go. If you had a government conspiracy to intentionally burn that yard down, first of all, you probably weren't aware that they sold almost nothing. And so nobody was fixing their old car out of there. And second of all, you would have had to be really good to figure out, if I light this fire 2 miles away, this wind will probably take it right through there. I suppose that's not an impossibility, but wouldn't you be a little bit more of a sure thing? So I don't know if I buy the conspiracy theory on that. I too raise my eyebrow at all of the junkyards I see burning, but I try to have critical thinking and ask myself, has it always been this way and it's only now hit the news and so it feels to us like it's become way more commonplace? You know, I think that happens a lot of time. The news cycle is like, oh, another yard burning, and then it becomes not the cool thing, so it goes away. And it also wasn't spoken of for years. And so it's something that happens that we're all not really aware of, not focusing on it. And then some outlet decides to make a big deal of it before that's not getting them views anymore, and they move on to something else. So critical thinking asks you, I should look more deeply into this. It also really... It is very easy to see something on social media and say, the government's burning it down. You know, like, I want to have that reaction too, but I also feel a responsibility to go look into it for myself and ask myself, is that really possible in this situation? And if the answer is yes, then yeah, start to raise an eyebrow. But I guess where I'm going with that is that looks really bad to me too. And the contrarian in me and the sort of anarchist in me wants to say, yeah, something fishy's going on. The critical thinking part of me goes, probably not. And I need to look way deeper into this before I really can develop a public opinion about it. So there you go. And this guy sums up that conversation with social media is for fools, which he says while typing into the chat board of a live feed. Sorry, dude. Open yourself up for that. Ever had a Monza? I didn't own it, but I had that Monza Spider with a stick that we had on Roadkill. People always ask what happens to the leaf blower Monza. It belongs to Jeff Lutz. He still has it on his property back in PA, which raises the question and the news about this. You know, Jeff Lutz, Street Outlaws hero, Drag Week hero before that, Drag and Drive hero. He's got that former Pro Mod car called Mad Max. It's that orange 69 Camaro looking thing. And he recently, just yesterday, day before, announced that the car had been sold to Rick Ware Racing. If you don't know who Rick Ware Racing is, that is a guy, Rick Ware, cool guy. I know him. And he owns and has owned teams in stock car racing and motorcycle racing and sports car racing and all this other kind of stuff, and NHRA drag racing, where he owns the teams of Clay Millican and Tony Schumacher. And Jeff Lutz, you may not know, is working as a full-time crew member on Clay Millican's Top Fuel car. And he's not just doing it for show. I've seen him in action. He is actually out there holding the same hours as all the other crew members, doing the work of all the other crew members. I don't think you'll find a guy on that crew who will say, yeah, Jeff's just here for decoration. I've seen him putting work in. He's actually doing the job, but he sold his car to Rick Ware. And the goal is for him to take it to Hot Rod Drag Week and have the first all 5-second drag week. The question that comes up, that is the whole conversation that people want to have and I want to have, is it cool that a professional race team owner owns this car that's participating in Drag Week? And I ask you, is it really that different than the very wealthy guys that own other cars that are participating in the unlimited class of Drag Week? And a lot of people say, that's it. This is the end of this sport. It's not for the little guy anymore. Breaking news, that class hasn't been for the little guy in a long time. But there are 12 other classes at Drag Week that are for little guys of varying littleness. I mean, you can enter your bone stock Honda Civic and that has 387,000 miles on it and change. You can also enter your 12-second car that you've built yourself. You can enter your 10-second car that you built yourself. You could be a guy who does all his work who has a 7-second car and calls himself a little guy. There's room for all of that at Drag Week. So don't dismiss the whole thing because one car is owned by a professional race team and it's driven by Jeff Lutz, who is a guy who built that car, maintains everything about that car, can assemble the entire engine, has proven himself to fix anything at the side of the road, and go through radical suffering in the name of drag and drive. So I think you can kind of see where my passions lie here, which is I am all about the little guy. I am also the one who allowed the unlimited class of drag racing to get out of control. And by the way, that's why it's called unlimited. Because it's unlimited. I think I wrote one time, if John Force shows up with a funny car and drives it 1,000 miles, have at it. And that's what's happening. This guy says, don't care who owns it. Pro mods shouldn't be in drag and drive. See, that's the thing that comes up, to which I say, should you really say this class shouldn't exist because I don't like those cars? Or should you say, I don't really care about that, but man, do I really love the small tire guys. It's like, I'm trying to think of an example. I can't think of an example outside of racing. Looking for an analogy and I failed. Favorite Chips episode. Okay, my favorite Chips episode will be the one that I think I talked about in my last sort of rambling live feed or video. When I was a kid growing up in the Silver Lake area of Los Angeles, they shot an episode there with the kids racing go-karts around town and with some kind of crime ring or something. And that was in my neighborhood and I saw them shooting it. So I always think that's kind of cool. But I like watching Chips because the whole thing was shot within a 10-mile radius of where I'm sitting right now, as was Adam 12. Emergency had a broader wingspan than that, but it was all around here as well. David, any shops in LA you recommend for carbon engine tuning for classic cars? You should just go to West Tech Performance Group in Mira Loma, West Tech Performance in Mira Loma. That's the place where we used to shoot Engine Masters, and it still exists. It's owned by Evan Perkins, who is a former editor, Hot Rod and Magazine guy and good guy, and they still have the engine dyno. They still have a chassis dyno, and they will still work on that stuff for you. Oh, this guy's saying, did you ever watch the Red Green show when it was on? And the only reason why I know that you're asking that is I know that when I bought my Chevy van and the possum was living in it and I called it Possum Van, a bunch of people popped up and told me, you can't say that. That belongs to Red Green. Red Green has the Possum Van. So I looked into it, and yeah, apparently he's a guy. But I haven't seen it. I don't know of it. But the problem was solved because my van is the Orange Possum Special. For $10, Dragon Butt asks me, I am dying to see a video with you and Loans together. Do it one day. You will see that for 5 days in a row in the live feed of Hot Rod Drag Week coming up this year. Thank you for saying I do an awesome job with my channel. I appreciate it. 340 Buick or a 455 for the 67 Skylark with an ST300. Okay, so the answer is the 455 is better, but I'm not sure I would put it in front of that transmission. The Super Turbine 300. I had one. I would like to see a 455 and a Turbo 400 in that thing, or a 4L80, or even a 4L60, or even a 700 R4. Did I name the possum? No, the actual possum himself, we neglected to name that guy. Yeah, we didn't have a long relationship, but he was kind of cute. Red Green is old roadkill, more silly and not real. Okay. Is smoking allowed at the race? At Duct Tape Drags? I don't know. I don't know. No idea. I don't know what the reservation rules are for that. I don't know what the Arizona rules are for that. I'd say, no is usually the best bet, but I don't know. Someone wants me to just go through the details on the drags in Arizona. It is Duct Tape Drags, October 16th and 17th. It's at Firebird Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona, just south of Phoenix. And it will be kind of the same program as we've had as far as Battle of the Beaters, Vice Grip Garage, Burnout Pit, car show, hangout, party, all of that stuff. It's just happening in a different location, and we're changing some logistics to try and make it run more smoothly and have more fun. Tickets are on sale now at thefote.com. You do have to search for Duct Tape Drags. There is also ducttapedrags.com, but I have not updated it. And I have already, even as we speak, failed on my commitment to you to get that done, but I will do it as soon as I can. This guy says, in racing, as long as it's set up so people with shallow pockets have an equal chance competing with those with deep pockets, I have no problem with it. That would be the age-old problem with racing since time began that no one has ever solved and ever will. Thank you for watching my road trips. You know what's interesting is that my road trip videos, guys are buying badges up here on Instagram and I'm not paying attention. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much for supporting me over there. Can you tell us about meeting Van Halen? Sure. I'll tell you about meeting Eddie Van Halen. I'm sorry I ignored the people buying badge up there. Thanks, Jake. Oh, that's Jake who asked me about Van Halen, so I'm about to deliver. And thank you for whoever just gave me $10 here too. You guys are so generous. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I will never ask for this, but you know what? It's going to help this week because my channel is going to tank this week because I did this live feed instead of an actual video. And I had a really bad week last week because of World Cup, I think. So yeah, the spending money does not hurt at all. Thank you very much. Okay. Eddie Van Halen story. The first time that I saw Eddie Van Halen, not that I met him, was I had a friend who shared a property with him. It's interesting. I knew these guys, their parents had owned this property since time began. They didn't have money, but they did have a place in Laurel Canyon, and it ran back to back with Van Halen's place on Coldwater Canyon. If you're not familiar with the Hollywood topography here, that is two canyons that are in the mountains that run in between Hollywood and the San Fernando Valley. They're two very windy roads that go all up and down. And so the properties meet back to back in the middle in some places there. And so these guys shared a property line. So, it wasn't a big, rich, fancy place. I mean, you would think, oh, they live next door to Eddie Van Halen. It was a dump. But anyway, I was hanging out with this guy, and we would go to the grocery store down. And I think the grocery store was at Coldwater and Ventura Boulevard. Is it a Gelson's that's right there? It might not have been back then. Locals can let me know. But anyway, so we're in the grocery store. We're like packing up to go to the desert camp and all that other kind of stuff. And I forget. I'm standing in the produce department, and my buddy's standing there. And my friend looks at me and goes, "Why is Eddie Van Halen staring at me?" And I'm like, "What?" It's like, "Why is Eddie Van Halen staring at me?" And I look over, and Eddie Van Halen's like on the other side of the bananas going, like, and I'm like, "I don't know why Eddie Van Halen's staring at you." Look back, Eddie Van Halen's still. It was totally weird. And then later on, my friend told me that it happened again. I wasn't there, but he told me it happened again. So that's a funny story. But then later on, when someone just gave me $100. Thank you very much. So kind. That is very, very nice. He says I don't need a shout out, but it happened because it was a glaring red tip. I got flack for the balls comment. Wait for glaring red tip. Buy some earplugs and rubber gloves. Thank you. So the other time is I was working for Hot Rod Magazine, and we were in the same building, a Sport Truck magazine, and we all shared the Peterson Publishing photo studio. And this was at a time when Boyd's and my buddy Brad Fanshaw, who was working with Boyd at the time, had connected with Michael Anthony. I'll answer this question in a minute. Hold on. Mafia, Wilshire, Shaker, make him. Okay, I was making notes to myself. So those guys had put together a deal for Sport Truck Magazine to build this car or this truck, this OBS Chevy truck to give away. And you know the truck, it's all painted up like Eddie's Frankenstein guitar. And so we had that thing in the studio, and I was there, and I remember we had the list. I had to have this much Heineken and this much, M&Ms or whatever the rules were. And Eddie came in for the photo shoot, and I was there like photo assist, and I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" This, that, and the other. And I didn't talk to the guy, hang out with the guy. He wore glasses inside. But that was my brief interaction with EVH. All right, this guy had asked me, Mafia Performance said, Wilshire Shaker involvement. The Wilshire Shaker was the altered wheelbase Chevy Nova, the Chevy 2, that Steve Magnante built at Hot Rod Magazine. It was orange and white, said Wilshire Shaker on the side, and it was an altered wheelbase match bash style car, like what would have been built in about 1965. And altered wheelbase, big block Chevy, stack injection coming through the hood, very much a reproduction of the drag cars that were going on that would eventually morph into funny cars. And I remember at the time, it was right at the transition when I was coming into being the editor of Hot Rod Magazine, but I was the editor of, I think, Carcraft and then Rod and Custom when Steve was building all of this. And I remember at the time being like, what are they doing? This is so crazy niche. No one cares. I thought it was super cool, but I wasn't going to put it on the cover of a magazine hoping that it would sell at the time because it was so obscure. But it ended up that Steve was way, way ahead of the curve before that whole thing became a micro niche. Do you remember 20 years ago or so when everybody wanted to build altered wheelbase cars and there was a bunch of them running around? Steve built another one out of a Fairmont, became a whole thing. So, and as I said, I always thought Steve's car was really cool, but I didn't understand it in trying to sell magazines in the business of actually doing what we were charged to do. So he ended up selling the thing. It's still around. I think it looks pretty much the same. It's super neat. And I think it's actually, you can point to it as being something that started a revamp of a trend. So that's very cool. Someone Wellen. Any plans to do engine builds in your shed like the COVID 350 with your shed stock? As a matter of fact, I am working on the COVID 350 small block Chevy that I assembled with leftover garbage out of this garage during COVID. So yeah, you'll see that coming up on the channel eventually. It's another thing that got halfway started and derailed by just my disastrous schedule. Did I ever interact with Kyle Busch? Nope, I did not have any knowledge of that. What are your plans for the van? I'm going to put a better engine and trans in the van. I'm going to put overdrive in it, and I want to buff out the paint that's already there and make it look, you know, good. Just preservation. It's kind of paint resurrection on the thing. And I probably need some sound deadening in the back. I probably will put carpet back down. I don't know if initially I'm going to bother to go insulate the inside of the walls and all of that other kind of stuff. I just want to hit the road, and I want to live in the thing. I want to go from KOA to KOA, spend a week on the road just living in the thing. That's kind of my goal. Dragon Butt's giving me another $10 for this question. What was your biggest scare in your time with cars? You seem unflappable, but everyone has that one close call that either makes or breaks them. So this did not make or break me. I would say I was unflapped by this, but if you think about it, it's pretty terrifying. And that is when I spun a car out with a flat tire at the Bonneville Salt Flats at 210, 11, 15 miles an hour or something like that, and ended up getting up on two wheels in the thing before it settled back down. And, you know, it really wasn't bad as it was happening. I was cool. You know, I got my hands flat on the wheel, got my foot in the clutch. The thing was, I was just along for the ride. And I remember the big deal is I got out and I told Keith Turk, it's like, man, this thing has way more body roll than I expected. It's like, no, you were up on two wheels. Oh yeah, that's body roll. So that's probably the closest like mainstream big whoops that I did. But you know what? I've had a lot of experiences where me and whoever I was with would actually pull over and go, that could have been bad. Like we could have literally died if only this one small thing had happened. I feel like my life's full of those. Going kind of fast. Did you get a spin pin? I didn't get my spin pin. I've always regretted not having a spin pin. I didn't get one. So, but the spin pin's at El Mirage, and I did spin at 195 plus there twice, but didn't get a spin pin. Do you have an experience with distributorless small block or big block engines? Humble request for install and review video. No one has done this yet. Distributorless. Okay. I mean, we can do that. In what I found, cylinder to cylinder timing doesn't make, well, you know, this is where I always say this tends to happen or that tends to happen. In the regular old muscle car V8s that we have dealt with, in the less than five or less times that I have tested individual cylinder timing, it has not made a lot of power. It has made us happier with the engine being safer, but you would think it would make a whole bunch of power, and it didn't. Now, there may be applications where it does. There may be different intake manifold designs, engine designs. You know, this is where I can't say that my experience is blanket and that it never makes power. But I've done it on LS, small block Chevy, and big block Chevy. And in no case did we see it make more power. But that doesn't mean that it never will. Oh, Sleeper Dude says he owns the old Steve Magnante Funny Fairmont. Cool. Okay. There you go. This guy's trying to build his 71 Formula in hopes of making it to the Duct Tape Drags. I hope you do. This guy says he missed the Duct Tape Drag news. Yeah, October 16th, 17th, Firebird Motorsports Park, Chandler, Arizona. Information will be coming up at ducttapedrags.com, and tickets are for sale now at thefoat.com. F-O-A-T, The Foat. Freiburger, favorite episode of Roadkill? The one where Finnegan and I built the General Mayhem. That's my favorite one. David, what do you think about an OBS Suburban? I was actually shopping for them recently because you know that I got rid of my I gave away my 91 Suburban that was so good, square body, and I wanted another barn door Suburban. I wanted one that I could beat up a little bit more off-road and not feel bad about. And by beat up, I don't mean like rock crawling, booty bouncing, ramming into stuff. I mean dragging past bushes, getting dirty, opening the door and having dust blow in and all that stuff. And I was shopping. I did find a square body. I haven't acquired it yet, but I did also shop for OBS ones, and I would have them. It's a bummer how quick the interiors wear out on those things, man. The seats are always all torn up. And you know, the cargo area in the back is smaller because they had all that plastic that ran the width of the tire well, whereas they didn't do that on the square body. And so it seems like the area is much smaller. You know, I would have an OBS is the short version, but barn door only, 4x4 only. How's Dolchek doing? I'm glad that people always ask me about Dolchek, although people do always ask me about Dolchek. His actual name is Dulcich, and he's doing just fine. He's just laying low. Oh, this guy says he's about 3 hours from L&L. He's like, you need to go there again after they get things cleaned up. Is there much to clean up? I can't wait to find out what actually is left behind from the big fire that went through there. It looked like it might not have been as bad as initially anticipated, and I hope that's the case. This guy says, I see some old school auto parts stores in the LA area online that are still open. Yeah, what is the name of the place that's way out in the valley that does old car parts? There's one old school parts place that is known for you walk in there and you need something obscure, and if they don't have it, they will find it, and it's great, and I so wish that I could remember their names so that I could give them a plug. They in like Canoga Park? Are they on Canoga? Synapse not firing. Somebody will tell me. How many jacks did you buy on Roadkill? Yeah, a lot. One on every episode. I'm not sure. You know what's awesome, actually? And I hate to say this because I am so appreciative that Motor Trend gave me the opportunity to do Roadkill and develop notoriety and have a lot of fun and make a lot of friends and do a lot of cars and experience things I would have never otherwise experienced. And I super appreciate every single viewer who watches the thing and who asks me about it today. But I have said a few times, ready to move on. You know, don't love retelling Roadkill stories over and over. And there hasn't been a lot of that on this live feed, which I appreciate that we've moved on to asking some actual different things, because I do have a different life now and I am moving on, and it is my living and it is what I'm absolutely saturated with. So I very much appreciate those of you who are into it and willing to ask questions about it. And once again, I still am very thankful for Roadkill, but you can see from my perspective that after a while it does get old retelling and re-answering the same questions about it. And the analogy I always make about that is, you know, to this day they ask Alan Alda about MASH. So that is what it is. I appreciate every one of you fans, so don't let that put you off. This guy says one more. He keeps giving me $10. I'm not answering questions for the money. I'll answer people who don't give me money. Let's be clear about that. If you could have any car from any year, any variant, money, no object, and exactly how you would picture it in your head, what would it be? What was that Gullwing Mercedes that just coupe race car that just recently last year sold for like $1.5 billion or something? I would get that, because then I would sell it for $1.5 billion or something. And then I would have 700 other cars. What do you think about a Hellcat swap in my 70 Fury? You know, when we were first doing it, the Hellcat swap was not refined and was, in my opinion, a little bit too hard to pull off. But now the aftermarket is caught up. You can get a lot of swap parts. You can get the electronic parts for it. You can do much tidier installations. And I approve the Hellcat swap. I don't think I would do it personally again, just because, I don't know, it's not my je ne sais quoi. But they're really, really good. That's one thing that people, I think, don't understand about me, is that while you might see me doing muscle cars and beater junk and low buck junk and carburetor junk, it doesn't mean that I don't have a lot of appreciation and even passion for other things. I think that a lot of car guys aren't fully that way. They think it's all got to be what they're interested in. I think it's great when people are interested in a lot of stuff and I can pick up bits and pieces and uh, my ideas and passions on various different market segments from all over the place. And I'm lucky for my time at Hot Rod Magazine that taught me that, because we were a magazine that covered everything, especially back in the 50s. Hot Rod covered absolutely everything. And so I was exposed to a lot of stuff by it as a reader, as a kid, and also when I was, doing it as a magazine editor. So I like a lot of different things. There's a lot of cars, Riddler winners, even, where I look at it, I was like, man, that thing is cool. I want to study it. I want to know about the craftsman who could build it and everything, but I don't even want to own a painted car. So, dichotomy. People ask me about the F-bomb endlessly. That's a car that's just sort of, fallen to the back burner. Unfortunately, there's a long story about it. It's not happening soon. Let's see. Is your son into cars? Okay. I have kept my family off the internet the whole time. You will see my son in next week's video, so stay tuned for that. He's making his small screen debut. Was I a Boy Scout? Nope, didn't do that. Not really a joiner, not a club guy, kind of, and wasn't even back then. What happened to the Iron Trap 40 Ford? I actually had the Iron Trap 39 Deluxe, and we used that for that episode of Roadkill, and I sold it right after that was done. So I haven't had that for a long time, but it does live in Arizona. As a matter of fact, it might be at the Duct Tape Drags. We'll have to find out. I'm actually looking over at Instagram. Where's the orange Super Bee? I do still have my orange Super Bee. For some reason, I've got more interest in fixing up my barn find Bee, I guess because it's simpler, more accessible. And I'm scared of driving my original car that I've had since I was 15 years old, because I think someone's going to smash into it. And unfortunately, that means I let it just rot in the garage and get filthy, and probably with bad gas and dead AN lines and all the other clogged injectors, everything else. And that's the reason, once again, why I'm trying to reduce the fleet of keepers and then just buy and sell stuff after experiencing it. So that's what I'm working on these days. What happened to the aluminum 4.3? Finnegan has the aluminum 4.3 now. It's at Bostic Racing Engines. Oh, no. We picked it up from Bostic Racing Engines in the last video that Finnegan and I did together. And so I hope he actually puts it in a vehicle. He talked about putting it in the Rotson. Stupidest car you love. Okay, this car isn't that stupid, but a lot of people think it's just completely worthless and don't understand why I like it. Have you seen my 68 Ford Galaxy 4-door? I bought it from a guy in Arizona who made the thing great. New engine, new trans, new suspension, new rear end, new drive shaft, new exhaust, new interior, new stereo. And it's a 68 Galaxy 500 4-door. It's a nothing car. It's all faded gold. And the thing is great. I don't know why. It's just, I'm a Galaxy guy. I'm a 390 guy now. And if you've got that car in your head from seeing it in my videos, picture it. I had a guy begging me to give me $18,000 for that car, and I didn't sell it to him. What's wrong with me? I should have, because that is one that's not going to live in the fleet forever, but I'm still using it and enjoying it. And it's probably worth about 15. So we'll see. Let's see up here. That seems clogged. Ooh, wow. I'm coming up on 2.5 hours live. I'm going to make sure to crest 2.5 hours live. Dig up your good questions. I'm starting to get a little bit hoarse, but I'll keep going. People still asking questions that are sort of lengthy about the event that's coming up. This live feed will be posted as a video when I go dark on YouTube. So you'll be able to go back and learn all the stuff that I had to say about it. All the information about the event starts about 15 minutes into the live feed video. So go check that out. How's the Superbird project going? I don't have a Superbird, so I don't know which one you're talking about. V-belt or serpentine conversion? Here's the thing. Serpentines are so much better, but they just, to me, don't look right in a lot of cases. And sometimes I have a car where I am all wrapped up in, this doesn't look like what I want it to look like because it isn't what I remembered that fit this era or this other car I knew or something. But in other cases, I'll have some cars like, I don't care. I want to make it function great. And I don't care what it looks like. There you go. And serpentines are better. So that's my answer. Any plans on building a Ford FE360 or 390? I have 3 vehicles running with Ford 390 FEs, one of which I'm not 100% sure what the condition of it is, even though it runs and drives. I haven't fired it up in a long time. I have a 390 here that is like a 450 horse unit that could go in there. I'm not going to build one from scratch anytime soon, but you will see some work on them coming up. Do a Buick 455 4-speed. So you may know Dave McClellan, Big Mac. I knew Dave. He was a host of Hot Rod TV way back in the day, and of course, legendary NHRA announcer and just legendary guy in the aftermarket in general. He was always the host of the SEMA Banquet, deep booming voice, really great guy. He had a 1970 Buick GS 455 4-speed convertible. Loved that car. This guy just says, Astros. Do you mean wheels? You talking about the Jetsons? Not sure. This guy loves the Mordor Galaxy. Great. Would you ever build a 401 or 425 nail head? Okay, here's the thing. Back in my magazine days, I had much more freedom to be able to build stuff out of curiosity and dig into it and research it and find out about it and do stories about it because I had a salary and I had time and that's what they were paying me to do. And I turned it into magazine stories, which were a longer term proposition than what we're doing here on YouTube. Now I have difficulty saying, yeah, I want to do a 401 nail head build because I don't have I don't have a place to do it. I don't have time to do it. I've got a million other things ahead of it, and I don't have the time to research to dig into it. And that's something this guy gave me $99.99. Thank you very much, Luke. Super, super generous. Thank you. Wow. And that is what I don't like about video versus what I was doing at magazines is I don't have the time to go in depth on and learning new things and doing stuff like that. And I want to, but it's just not there right now. So I guess that's just sort of a reality of the media world that I'm in right now. Sorry, it was buzzing by pretty fast. If you absolutely had to buy a new car today, what would it be? A pickup truck, probably an F-250. Did you decide what you're going to do with Gumby? I did, and you will see it in next week's episode. You need an assistant. I've seriously considered that. That means paying someone. I'm not sure I could keep them busy every single day. You wouldn't believe how scattered and crazy my life is out on road trips and then, working every night on sorting the next video and shooting the next one. And then, I have a lot of different jobs. The event, I'm so far behind on the event. I announced Duct Tape Drags 2 weeks later than I did last year, and it's just because I got so much to do. I let it all fall behind. I wasn't replying to people in a timely manner, and we finally pulled it together. And Derek and I are full steam ahead, ready to make that event great. But it did take me way too long to get there. Have I ever been to Mopar Nationals? I have, twice. Once for the magazines, and once we did it on Roadkill. And then subsequently, I guess I see people complain all the time that it is right on top of the Roadkill Nights event. And people think that that's something about Dodge hating Mopar Nationals. I have nothing to do with that. Fortunately, I don't know. I doubt it. But that's probably why I haven't been there in 10 years. What's the most time-consuming part of YouTube for you? Editing, merch, what? Thanks for asking about that. It's shooting the stuff. Let's just say... right now, I'm doing something on my Galaxy. I wanted to do a episode similar to what I did with carburetors, explaining everything about ignition timing for old muscle car V8s. And so what that means is I know all this stuff in my head. I need to make an outline so that I can think how to present it to you the best way. I need to then have sort of some show and tell stuff in order to show you that stuff. And I want to do it in order to fix a real problem that I've got on the Galaxy. And so therefore, I'm doing a little research to back up the stuff that I know. People are all often like, how do you know all that stuff? Well, in most cases, I know something, but before saying it, I want to verify it. And sometimes I find out, oh, no, I got that year wrong. Like earlier today, I think I whiffed the first year of the small block Ford, just because you're speaking quickly, you're thinking fast, you got so many facts. Sometimes you'll throw something out and it's a little bit wrong. I don't want to be a little bit wrong. I want to try and find the right thing. And so there's research time. Then there's me sort of outlining it. Then there's lining up the parts. And then there's actually moving everything out of the driveway so that I can work on the thing, and then working on it, shooting it while I'm actually doing the work, doing all the work that isn't entertaining on camera, having to do all that. And it ends up taking a good 4 days to put together something like that for me. And I know my other YouTubers are cranking the stuff out much faster. And a lot of the ways they're doing it is I kind of shoot my shows like the TV shows. I shoot a stand-up, I shoot B-roll, I shoot a tight, I shoot a wide, I have my editor put it all together. That's the one thing I don't do is edit. Everything else I do. And I probably need to learn to just get more sloppy. Shoot everything on one camera on a stick. Don't do separate audio, just deal with the camera audio. I know that's the stuff where I could learn to just get more efficient and be faster. But the other thing that kills me is and this triggered somebody asking, you need an assistant. What would I have them do? Well, a lot of it would be moving cars around. I have so much moving cars around that needs to happen. And, that's just not an on video thing. And ordering parts, inventorying parts. I have so many parts that I have ordered, and then I forget that I ordered them. So I order them again in order to execute the video, even though 4 months ago I thought I'm going to do this video. I want to have the parts on hand to do it when I'm ready to do it. And then I forget, and then I order them again. So it's just all that stuff. Are C10 action lines allowed in the Battle of the Beaters? Well, that's an interesting question. I will tell you, Duct Tape Drags Battle of the Beaters, the thing has always been, it's the value that it would realistically trade for on Craigslist or Marketplace. It's not the money that you have invested. That's an important distinction for Battle of the Beaters. A lot of people want to show up and say, I've got all the receipts right here. I only have $87 in this car. And to which is like, but you can't say your grandmother gave you a 69 Camaro and so it was free. It doesn't work that way. Even if you've got some car that you legit bought for $600 and put $1,000 into, and you can prove you only have $1,600 in it, if the vehicle itself would sell for $10,000 on any marketplace anywhere, then it's not what we're looking for. So it's that tough thing where if your C10 action line is a short bed fleet side and it's in pretty good shape, but you got it cheap, it's probably going to get bumped out. We call that a body style bump. It's like, sorry, man, I know you don't have much money in this, but it's a 55 Chevy. Or it's a 67 Camaro. There's no 67 Chevy Camaro on earth worth less than $5,000. You get what I'm trying to say. If I put a side draft Weber carb on a tuned Port 350 Chevy engine in place of the throttle body, would it work? Yeah. Okay, next question. You would have terrible fuel distribution. What would really be cool is if you took the plenum off and found a way to make a little thing and put 4 carbs on it. That'd be cool. Thoughts on late model GMB bodies? How late model are you talking about? You're talking about like an Orca Caprice, a 9C1 cop car Caprice? Those are great. Have you ever been to those Hot Rod Legend Tours events? I haven't. The Hemi Gremmy, my Hemi Gremmy was influenced by Hot Wheels, and I've never had it to one of those shows. Maybe I should. Have I built any Japanese cars yet? I have not built a Japanese car ever. Car you hate the most? I guess I don't drive around anymore wasting any energy hating any car. I think stuff like a Cybertruck is stupid, but as soon as I catch myself thinking of that, I think, but at the same time, I also wish that people would build more interesting vehicles that stand out and aren't just cookie cutter. Well, that's exactly what that is. So do I really hate it? If I compare it to some stuff like, let's say, a Tucker, would I have hated a Tucker when it was new because it was weird and had the engine in the back and had a third eye? You know, Cybertruck kind of passes the standard of what the rest of us would call a curiosity of an old vehicle 50 years from now. It's just electric, so a lot of us don't like it. Do I hate electric cars? No. I think everybody should be allowed to have one if they want one. Do I want one? No. Will I eventually be forced to have one? Maybe. What's the best lunchbox locker that you used? Oh, shoot. What's the brand? Ah, I have used the Detroit Locker brand ones without fail. But there's another brand that was the really common one, almost like the first one. That's how long I've been out of four-wheeling. Can't remember. Is a QFT adjustable vacuum secondary really worth it, or the Holley quick change spring kit? I really like the QFT adjustable secondary vacuum advanced pod, and I don't have one around here. I was going to show you guys. I think the QFT adjustable vacuum advance is really, really cool and worth it. And if you look at the other features on the QFT carburetor when you get it, it can have value versus the old classic Holley carburetor, as much as I love those, because the QFTs tend to have adjustable air bleeds and sometimes a power valve restrictor channel and stuff. So look into the other features, not just that. Power Tracks, thank you. Lockrite, thank you. Whew, appreciate you. Yep, Lockrite's the OG lunchbox locker. Can you believe I forgot that? That's how long it's been since I've been hard into the four-wheeling thing. What a bummer. Now everyone's answering those. This guy says your shirts are amazing quality. Thanks, I appreciate it. Speaking of that, if any of you are sitting around and you bought shirts for me to get entries into the sweepstakes to win my 69 Chevy C20 truck, that's going to be late next week. We're waiting for all the mail-in entries to come in. And if you mailed in an entry, you're the guy sitting around going, yeah, wait for my entry to show up. So that's what's going on. Rusted Recreation says, I built a carburetor adapter for an EFI intake videos on my channel. So you can go check that out. A lot of guys have actually done that. Richard Holdner has done it a bunch. It's kind of a thing. Sorry, staring at questions, trying to find stuff I haven't already addressed or whatever. Update on the F100 4x4. I've got a 72 F100 4x4 that's got 3/4 ton outers on the front and a 3/4 ton rear. It's a 394 speed. I love it. I really want to get back to it. There was a great episode on my channel working on it with Rick Payway where we took PVC pipe and used it to replace the springs that hold the rocker arms apart. So see that episode if you haven't, because it's really good. And Rick and I have a plan to go back there. I've got the drive shafts for that thing now, and it'll be ready to go. I need to throw the drive shafts in, and Rick and I need to take a trip. We're planning on doing it when it's cooler in probably November. 440 Sources making new blocks. Do I have any intel? I did not know that. Are they making new blocks, or are they selling the ones that like Keith Black was making, or Callie's? I don't know. Any plans to check out the new Buc-ee's in Goodyear, Arizona? No, I'm not making a special trip for Buc-ee's. I understand it if you do, but no. I got to get into that, though. For a lot of my shows, I think, oh, what can I do? It's really deep, meaningful. How can I tell a complete story and everything? I should probably just get in a car and go, you know what? I want to check out the new Buc-ee's. So I'm going there and then get in my car and go there, because you know it's going to break down on the way. This guy says, no, it's new castings. Interesting. Interesting. I'll check that out. Thanks for the tip. What happened to Mikey P in Saturday Garage? Great question. Mikey P actually ended up getting a short-term real job, and so he had to dip for a while. And I think he's either permanently dipping or building up enough videos so that he doesn't have to work week to week again. Not sure what's going with that. I need to go have a beer with him. Is the Bonvidier still part of your fleet? We were talking about it earlier. Yes, it is. Any plan to ship Rick's Jeep to Germany? You know, we talked about that and mentioned it in my episode about shipping his World War II Jeep and landing it on Normandy and driving it to Berlin. And I don't know, that I think is sort of fallen by the wayside. I doubt that's really going to happen. It would be really fun, though. Bucky's has the cleanest bathrooms in the business. All right, I'll go. Where's the Disgusting? Disgusting sold and gone like 2 years ago, something like that. It's at Mud Garage in New York. We need more shirts from your road trips like your new abandoned gas station one. Have you seen my abandoned gas station t-shirt? A lot of you have. It was our surprise hit during the sweepstakes sale. I've sold a ton of those. I'm so happy people dig it because it was an idea I've had for a long time. And Chad Hill executed it perfectly. It is a abandoned gas station that has Easter eggs mocked up as if it's an old Freiburger gas station. And it's super cool. So check that out on my site, which is shop.davidfreiberger.com. This guy says, I love the trips around Los Angeles that you do. Thank you. That's one of those things that I can do locally and fairly quickly, but you know, those are time consuming and that I do all the research so that I know what to talk about. And so I can show you old photos. I'm trying to think what the next one that I do could be. I've sort of done the one of a lot of old speed locations around LA. There's so many more, but the video didn't do that well. And you say, well, you should do it anyway. I loved it. The thing is, I mean, the data is the data. If it doesn't do that well, it means not that many people are interested in it, which means I should probably be doing something else. Yes, I do a lot of my videos just because it's whatever I feel like doing. Fortunately, I can do that. But on the other hand, take the money part of it aside, why wouldn't I be doing the stuff that people enjoy seeing more? And I'm not sure that that one has a great longevity to it. So, worst car you've ever owned. My wife had a Volvo wagon that I really disapproved of. It's sort of a, I don't know. I wasn't popular for that opinion. But it wasn't mine. It was hers. She loved it, so I shouldn't be judgmental. Worst car I ever had, I did a stupid thing and bought this moronic square body 4x4 ambulance and way overpaid for it and then sold it for half what I paid for it. It was stupid disaster. But that's what you expect from me. Would you ever consider doing another automotive-based TV show? I don't know. I might take the phone call, but no, I don't have any burning desire to be on real TV or cable TV or anything like that. The good part about it would be like taking a bunch of heat off me to, you know, handle all of the production. The bad part would be is I can't imagine any situation. Sorry, I'm fiddling with my air cleaner here. I can't imagine any situation where any network would allow the talent, which is us, to have the freedom of controlling the content of the show the way Finnegan and I did on Roadkill and Dulcich and I did on Roadkill Garage. There's just no way. And so I couldn't imagine stepping into a situation with a producer that was telling me, you know, all I need you to say is that this doohickey is the greatest one that was ever made. No. All I need you to do is throw this doohickey at your buddy. No. All I need you to do is, you know, build this car for this guy because, you know, whatever. I can't see it. Favorite cigar. I was just telling my family about this the other day. I'm nowhere near as hardcore of a cigar guy as people think I am because you occasionally see me with KJ burning some down. I probably do it like 5 times a year. You know, I might smoke I might smoke 15 cigars in a year. And, you know, that would be on nights where I had 2. I'm not hardcore. I'm not an aficionado. I did find one the other day that's my favorite. I never had a favorite before because I never kept track of it, but I found the Arturo Fuente Gran Reserve. Like it's like a torpedo one, and it's my favorite one. So finally I have an answer to that question when people ask me. Restaurants used by drag racers in 60 to 88 Southern California old locations. Wow, wouldn't that be a great one if I really knew where that would be? Wouldn't it be awesome going back in time and seeing some of those diners where guys were hanging out? Did you see Metallica live? I never did. I never saw Metallica. I never saw Van Halen. I saw David Lee Roth. I saw Sammy Hagar. Never saw Van Halen. I want to talk to Brian Loans about some pre-World War II F1 stuff. Yeah, you should. Once again, Brian Loans, you should see it. Do you drink any beer? You know what? I was famous for Corona for such a long time, and I have turned on Corona because Corona left me behind because they're just mostly skanky these days. And it used to be like 1 out of 10, and now it's 9 out of 10. So I'm on to the macro brew. I will definitely go to the High Life. The champagne of beers is my go-to. I will back into a Coors Banquet if I need to. I'll do a Bud Heavy with Glee. If I'm someplace with a tap, I usually like ambers. Personal opinion, Engine Masters was the cat's pajamas. Thank you for using cat's pajamas in a sentence. I really like doing that show. I learned a lot from it. And it's weird now going back and realizing, wow, not dealing with engines every single day anymore. It's like I'm losing some of my just snap memory about stuff. I had to text Steve Brule the other day, and I said, Steve, I can't remember how many degrees of timing we needed to add for methanol. Like, what is it? Because I couldn't remember. He's like, yeah, it's usually a 2 to 4 degrees more for methanol. It's like, oh, thanks, Steve. He remembers. Steve Brule is having a great retirement, by the way. You'll see him in a couple of our videos in the past when we've done road trips and gone through his place, and I'll continue to stop by and see him every time I can. We're really enjoying each other away from the whole TV thing. I love Steve. So let's see. Ever been to Munn's Root Beer stand? I have. It's genius. I love it. Good nostalgia there. Guy says, Duct Tape Drag site says available soon, and you want to buy entry tickets, you can go to thefoat.com, T-H-E, the Foat, F-O-A-T, fastest of all time, thefoat.com. Search Duct Tape Drags, and you'll find a place where you can get tickets. What's going to be coming at the Duct Tape Drags website is going to be like the hype page, what's going on, the schedule, and the rules. And I just didn't get that done. I was working on it till 3 a.m. a couple nights ago, didn't finish, and didn't get, it's my fault. This guy, oh, it's not this guy. It's Rebel Driver. He got to hang with Jeff Smith at a Pavement Pounders event. That's very cool. Last time I saw Jeff, SEMA a couple years ago, I think. How's my back doing? You know what? Okay, I'm not going back to the health conversation. Never mind. I'm okay. Thanks. How's Matt King doing these days? He's good. I text with him every once in a while. Of course, Matt King, former editor of CarCraft magazine and the Detroit editor of Hot Rod magazine, and a motorcycle guy sort of itching to get back in cars. Favorite car or favorite track and car you've ever driven down the quarter mile? My favorite track has got to be Bowling Green. Bowling Green just has the aura about it, man. The old grandstands and all that stuff. It's pretty great. Any news on the truck giveaway? Yeah, the drawing is going to be end of next week. We have to wait for mail-ins to come in. Have I ever done any high-performance AMC engine builds? No, I had a 401, swapped an intake on that. I had a 360 in that Cherokee that you saw on my channel. I did a swap on that. I've never had one on the dyno, and I've never really done a performance build on them. I've owned 3 or 4 of them. I've got nothing bad to say about them. They're a good, like, workman engine. I've never tried to actually make horsepower with them. When I was the editor of CarCraft, I did go to the AMC Nationals at Cordova one time and saw all those guys who had like the crazy canted valve head setups for them and aluminum blocks and all of that stuff. I love it when guys pick a niche and decide, I'm going to be the fastest guy with an AMC and just go all out. Have I met Evel Knievel? No, I did not. I met his son, but not Evil. Do you have a hobby? No. In truth, what you see on my YouTube channel is every minute of my whole life. What's going to happen with Gumby? Will it be traditional rod? I can tell you. Sam Strube, who's helping me build this car, and I have a very similar ethic about what we want our cars to look like. And they're very much influenced by 70s speed parts and looks, but not with the 70s sort of gangly stance and tires hanging out and all of that stuff. Our stance ethic is much more driven by what was going on in the early 80s. Um, in my video, I use the example of Fat Jack Robinson. And his famous car is, of course, that 40, I think 46, 7 or 8 Ford Coupe, the orange one, drag car that flipped, that rolled. But he built other cars and just had that in the weeds look, the absolutely dumped and the perfect tire tuck. And that is the key to, I think, making a hot rod look cool. So mine is going to be unchopped, full fendered, sitting on daisies, wicked dump in the front, perfect tire tuck in the back, and it's going to have 70 speed parts on the thing. Probably tunnel ram, 90% tunnel ram. But my goal for the thing is it's got to be able to drive 80 miles all day long. I want it to be what Baskerville called a reacher, and it's going to have overdrive. And I want it to run 11s in the quarter mile. I think those two things are achievable, and I think I can do it, oddly enough, getting pretty good gas mileage. And my third goal for the thing is that I want it to at least do a paper slipper wheelie. And so those are the goals, plus the overall look. Plus, it's going to be that I have wanted a hot rod for a long time. I've shopped for them to death. I haven't found one that matches my overly picky standards because I just won't have, you know, a filled cowl vent or flushed windows or shaved door handles or modern rearview mirrors or a French license plate or louvers in the wrong spot or billet stuff where it shouldn't be or a stretch nose or the, you know, wrong angle of a grill or suicide doors that don't belong, or, you know, I just have so many things like that that I'm too picky about. And every car has something. Every car that's for sale that I come across has something where I just go, oh, that's too hard to fix. Found a 32 the other day that was really neat, and it was kind of affordable. Well, it wasn't affordable. It was low priced for the marketplace. And I was like, some guy put modern flush glass in this thing front and rear. There's no chance I'm ever undoing that. Pass. So stuff like that. Ever been to Jay Leno's garage? Yes. I used to know Jay Leno, but it's been 15 years. I saw him at an O'Reilly event last year, and I don't know, chatted with him for 10 minutes, but you know, I don't really know him anymore. But I used to be over there, I don't know, once every couple months. Have I ever been to Tri-City Dragway in Saginaw? I don't think so. I don't think that's on my list. See, look at this. This guy goes, dude, Fat Jack on the cover of Hot Rod influenced my 46 Ford business coupe. Yep, Fat Jack knew what was up. Did I ever talk cars with Steve McQueen? No. Nope. His son, I think I saw at a long lead one time, and I think I have a book signed by him. I think I have a bullet book signed by him. Chad. Flush glass. You know, like instead of having a window frame with a, you know, window like in a 32 Ford, you can take the window out and it's got a chrome frame around it. Flush mounted means like a modern car, the way they build a flange and glue the windshield in. There's no windshield rubber or trim. That's what I'm talking about on flush glass. Do I have any shop dogs now? I don't have a dog. We've kind of thought we won't get another dog right now while I'm sort of in flux. Sunbeam Tiger is cool, really expensive. Does everyone think you're 70 years old? No, I'm more than 70 now. I forget how old I am now. My 76 now? I think I am. Ever been to US 131? Yes. What's your most memorable time getting all four wheels off the ground? That's a pretty good question. I mean, one of them was when I exploded my back on roadkill, which you can see in that Buick wagon that I jumped and it pancaked and splattered me. What's another time I jumped a car? We jump stuff quite a bit at four-wheel and off-road. I can't think of a particularly memorable, crazy all four wheels off the ground deal. I mean, sand dunes, yeah. I mean, I've done it. It's just I don't have a really big one except for that time it destroyed my back. Just wondered if I was ever at NHRA Pomona. Yeah, I worked the Fox Sports show at Pomona. What's the funniest Gray Baskerville story? So the first time I went to Bonneville, this would be 1992, and I had started at Hot Rod in 91, so I'd barely been there any time at all. So this would be August of 1992. And Joe Pettit was another staffer on Hot Rod, and he and I decided we want to go to Bonneville and see what it was all about. So Baskerville, who is the king of Bonneville at the time, everybody knows him. You know, he always covers it for Hot Rod. Amazing guy. And if you don't know who Baskerville is, you got to know he was crazy personality, the likes of which you'll never meet before. He was just like a jazz surf, beatnik, California sandal wearing lover of hot rods who couldn't actually build his own hot rod, knew absolutely everybody. Everybody loved him. Could have pretty radical mood swings, but also was just always laughing and telling stories and had a crazy laugh and everything. So he tells Pettit and I, all right, come to town, and when you see the most garish hotel there, go to the front desk and tell them you know me and ask for the key. And we're like, the most garish? Yeah. So we roll into town, and I forget what the hotel is that has all this crazy neon colors and lights and flowers. And so we go to the front desk. Yeah, Gray told us to ask. Oh, yeah, guys, here, no problem. Here's your ticket. And we're going to be sharing a room with Gray. And so we get the ticket, and we go up, and we knock on the door. Nothing. Knock on the door. Nothing. We're like, maybe he's out. So we use the ticket. We go inside. Gray is asleep, buck naked, spread eagle on the bed. And we walk in, we're like, oh! And he's there. He's laughing about it because we're horrified at this. And I remember I slept on the floor up against the radiator. That's how old this place was. It had a radiator in the room. And yeah, Baskerville is an absolute treasure. I really, really miss that guy. Would you ever do another video with Derek from Vice Grip Garage? Likely. Will you announce with loans for Hot Rod Drag Week? Yep. Will you ever go to Samoa Drag Strip again? I don't know. I hope so. Great place. I love it right there next to the beach. Okay, in 1 minute, I will have been live for 3 hours. 2,400 people watching on Facebook, 120 still on Instagram. Wow. It's been a lot. Let's run through the event just a little bit one more time. The Duct Tape Drags is coming back. Derek from Vice Grip Garage is doing it with me. This time it is going to be at Firebird Motorsports Park in Chandler, Arizona, just south of Phoenix. And it's the same deal, Battle of the Beaters. We're also going to have the Vice Grip Garage Burnout contest. We've got the least showy car show ever. And I say that because anybody is really welcome. Doesn't matter what your car or truck is. Anybody is welcome here. We're not going to exclude you because your car's not cheap enough, or exclude you because your car's too old or too new or too pink, or just, because we don't like the size of your rims, because we don't like your billet. Nope. Everybody is allowed and encouraged. But the thing that tends to show up is a bunch of people who just like basic fun with cars without having to be too hung up on appearances or money or, getting their feelings hurt or having a car show judged. And they just want to hang out and have a good time and watch some cars go down the track for the first time themselves, watch some neat racing, watch us make fun of some people's cars in the Battle of the Beaters. We've changed things up to try and give people a better experience in the sense that we're going to have more room for trailers and for camping and for cars. It won't be as congested, or at least we're trying to head that direction. Hope it doesn't turn into a problem while we're there. But I guess I'm just assuring you that it's on our mind and we're working on that. And we're also trying to make sure that our Battle of the Beaters, which is tongue-in-cheek and not serious at all, but kind of got stunk up by the wrong kind of cars last year, we're trying to make sure that that ends up sort of keeping the flavor that it's always had. We're working on speeding up that judging process. If you go back and watch from the beginning of this video, you'll see I spell all of this stuff out. If you've waited in line in the past, we solved that problem last year, but this year there's a separate line for spectators than there are for participants. So we've just done a lot to try and work on making the logistics of this be better so that we can continue to just have a car event unlike any other. I really appreciate the participants at Duct Tape Drags for understanding what it's all about and knowing that that's what it is. It's so hard to put your finger on how to create a culture like that. And it's so easy for it to slip away if it sort of gets infiltrated with the wrong type of stuff. And so I'm working really hard to maintain that feel that we had like 3 or 4 years ago. That got a little too big for its britches in the past 2 years, and especially last year. It's going to be at a facility that isn't as homey, but it's going to have logistics that I hope ease a lot of people's frustrations. And we're going to continue to have that type of fun. So that's what's going on there. Tickets are currently on sale at thefoat, TheFoat.com. And then I will get done the schedule and all of the rules at the Duct Tape Drags site coming up. I'm sorry, I'm slowing down here and thinking slowly because I've been through all this before and my voice and my brain is kind of wearing out. I really appreciate all of you hanging out for so long for this video. Those of you who gave me a bunch of tips up to including $100, how incredibly generous of you. Thank you. I apologize I haven't paid as much attention to the people who are watching on Instagram. I've mostly been answering questions here on YouTube, but I appreciate all you Instagrammers for watching for so long as well. I didn't know Instagram could do a 3-hour live feed. So that's it. You can contact me if you like at heyfreiburger@gmail.com. Hey, Freiburger, Freiburger @gmail. I get hundreds of emails a day there. So I apologize that I cannot get back to everybody. I try and get back to as many as I can. Some who ask me big, long technical questions that I don't have time to answer, unfortunately, I just have to move past them. But if you've got something quick, if you've got a car for sale, if you've got a car you want to buy, if you've got a question about the event, try Duct Tape Drags @gmail.com. DUCT Tape Drags @gmail.com. That's my events person. She will help you with specific questions about like, where can I park and what can I go? And can I bring this for camping? And what about this kind of RV? And what if I have green hair and just all that other kind of stuff? That is Duct Tape Drags @gmail.com. And I sure hope I'll see you there. Derek and I are committed to making this thing as fun and smooth as we possibly can. And we really, really, really want to have a good time ourselves. And we want to do it along with you. All right. Thanks for sticking with me for so long on this live feed. We got a regular video coming next week, building up the chassis of my Gumby hot rod here on YouTube. And we'll be back to our regular programming on Instagram as well. Thanks for having me. I'll see you later.